Welcome to Empire is the Way. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine. He is Marcel Catz.
Not everything is planned. Some of the coolest things we've done were random. Always,
What's the philosophy behind what you're doing right now? Like, what's the main?
no matter how low you can go, you got to get back up.
Miami-based art dealer Marcel Catz, with his company The Art Plug, has partnered with the Dolly Universe.
Welcome to Empire is the Way. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine. Worked on some projects, made some pioneering moves. He is Marcel Catz. You might know him as the Art Plug here in Miami, worldwide, obviously. And he's been pioneering, doing exhibits, doing curations all over Wynwood. He understands the art world, but he's also has all these other projects that we're going to find out about today. He's definitely been in the public eye, dealt with a lot of ups and downs, and now he's coming back full force. So thank you so much for being a part of the show, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Good to see you, bro.
So,
So the Art Plug, Marcel Catz to the Art Plug.
Yes.
How did that happen?
it was random. A good friend of mine, his name is Shubham. He was a collector at the time. We still stay in touch. And he had coined me as, you should, you're kind of like the Art Plug, because I was known as being more of a connector. I was doing a lot of back end stuff, production, exhibitions, being able to connect people with different creative needs, and the ability to do so ended up gaining some recognition. And then I started working with different artists and things like that, and being able to plug certain people with certain creative necessities, and then or wants or dreams or whatever it is that they chose to go for. And the guy, one of my friends, he called me, "Hey, you're the Art Plug." And then I was like, I don't really like the name. I'm like, it's a little, I don't know, it sounds cheesy. I don't really want to be called the Art Plug. I'm like, what happens when the world becomes wireless?
Right.
We don't need plugs anymore.
Yeah. Oh, so you were thinking that far ahead. You were like,
just being funny. And I'm just like, I don't know. And then it just stuck. And then I started realizing, like, the perceptions, you can create your own narrative of whatever it is. So I decided to kind of try to refine the name a little bit. I started to associate with, brands like Salvador Dali, and as well as street art, obviously, but I wanted to get into more of a fine art type of environment, while still embracing the rock and roll element that really was the foundation of the Art Plug.
Mm-hmm.
That, going to an event and seeing the explosiveness and being able to witness things that you haven't seen before, versus going to an exhibition and just having a white wall and art, or seeing a sculpture or whatever. It just wasn't the same type of experience. We, really pushed the boundaries of what, an art show would look like, or feel like, or smell like, or even taste like. We would incorporate, sometimes chefs, partnerships with guys like Brad Kilgore and things like that. So, and it became like not just plugging art per se, but anything creative. We were able to figure it out and make it happen. So, and then it kind of turned into what it is today. And now we're evolving, always evolving, and it's turning more into a community-driven brand, which we'll get into.
What would you say is because the art, it could be so subjective, and you could really go almost like to any corner of the world there. What's the philosophy behind what you're doing right now? Like, what's the main core? What's keeping it together?
Well, obviously passion. Passion is the primary thing. I go where the world pulls me. I don't really try to go anywhere. If it feels right, we're going to go in that direction. If an opportunity presents itself and we think it's a good fit, we're going to pursue it. It's not everything is planned. Some of the coolest things we've done were random, always just different. Like some of the best shows we've ever done were really random. It was, a police impound that we had, and it was just an Alapata, which was kind of dirty-ish at the time. It wasn't
Right.
it wasn't that established or it wasn't what Wynwood is today, you know. And now it's, if you look, you know, 5 years later, it's a lot, you know, there's a demand over there now for real estate and things like that. So I think it's a combination of being resourceful, you know, being able to collaborate, and being global, being able to have a message that's, you know, authentic and, you know, can be relatable with people all over the world. I have relationships everywhere, you know, in Lisbon, in Berlin, in, you know, I talk to artists all over the world. Art's really cool because you're able to communicate with people all over the globe. And that's what I think really, really makes it special, is that everyone speaks the language, you know?
If I would think, just from an outside looking in, right? And obviously I know the art world from a certain perspective, but I'm trying to view it from yours, right? You got a muralist, you got very dedicated artists who doing very specific things. And I would think maybe a brand, sometimes if a brand wants to collaborate, first, they don't know if that's a good collaboration, first of all. So they need to speak to somebody who can middleman that conversation, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, it does help, you know, to have an agency. Like there's a lot of good ones out there, you know, like Swarm's a great agency. They can provide you with great resources, talent. You know, we have our way of doing things. You know, you have a lot of different, you know, companies out there that, I mean, yeah, you tell them what the vision is. If, let's say you're the brand, you go, okay, this is the vision for the campaign. What do you guys think about it? You know?
Right.
And then the agency comes up with, look, I have this artist, this artist, this artist, this artist. This is where they're from. This is what the artist's mission statement is, you know, and this is what I think would fit best for your campaign. And then, like, somebody that's a good curator will be able to curate a good campaign for that brand based upon, you know, based off their goals. And I think that, you know, nowadays we have so much talent out there. It's just about being able to have access to these artists. Like if someone came to me and was like, you know, hey, I want to do, you know, a mural campaign. You know, I have a beverage company, we're a water brand, and, you know, I want to target certain cities, and I want to do about 15 to 20 different locations. I'd be like, okay, well, all right. So is there a certain artist that works with the, you know, with raising awareness for the ocean, or you know, like a friend of mine named Sea Sirens that does like underwater landscapes and, you know, oceanscapes, I guess you call it. And I would figure out a way to, you know, obviously highlight certain cities that would make the most sense for the campaign. So obviously using AI, you know, which, you know, cities would be the most, which would make the most sense for a campaign based off a water brand or a beverage company or whatever it is. Using AI, it will tell you. And then you can, because through the answers you get through AI, you can break it down to like, okay, well, I know all these artists, okay, and then you take 5 out of the 30 that you've written down, and you go, these 5 would make sense. You don't always want to over present, because then it's too many options. You want to be kind of like Burger King, where it's okay, make a decision. There's 9 options. Here's the 9 packages. I want the number 2, you know, but nowadays you can do things where it's not just a physical campaign, it's digital campaigns. Digital campaigns are, you know, can live for a long period. And you have brands like, you know, like we were talking about, like 19 Crimes, where they have an augmented reality aspect to their marketing. So when you look at the bottle, or you shine your camera over it, it's the character on the label is speaking to you. And that's something that we're going to see more, the involvement of technology into art, you know?
I know you said you ask AI for, like, for example, some type of, it's not for everything, but a guideline so you could curate and kind of go. How do you think AI is going to change the future of advertising?
I mean, to be frank, I mean, I think that AI, I love using it. I think that it, you know, you take with AI, it's opening up a lot of doors. You're able to get a full strategy, business plan, anything you really need to point you in the right direction. You don't have to take everything it tells you, but if you're stuck and you're having creator's block, all you got to do is talk to the language model and just be like, hey, how you doing, robot? Like, I like to be polite. So I go, hey, robot, how are you? And the robot will be like, hey, how are you, Marcel? Or whatever, you know? And then I'll be like, look, I have a question for you. I can't figure out, you know, what to do for this campaign. Here are the elements of the campaign. And I literally write it out. Doesn't have to be in perfect, you know, perfect grammar or anything like that. And it spits out a bunch of options for me. And then I go, oh, wow. Okay, I thought of the first three, but I didn't think of the fourth one, you know? And then I just, based off of that, it'll spark my creative juices.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, because through AI, I'm figuring out how to do, an example is I'm doing a campaign right now where I've been working on this since January. Well, for a few years, but I started kicking it up in January. I wanted to be more consistent with our editorials. So I figured it'd be a great way for me to learn and practice my writing skills. So since January, I've been putting, you know, 1 to 2 articles a week together, right? Straight up written, you know, a few images here and there. I'm working on hyperlinking and citing my sources a little more, but there's no videos and things like that. So I'm like, you know, okay, all right. Now I have the routine. I have it nailed down. I can write an article fairly quickly, and you know, and publish it on my WordPress website in a good time frame. Now, how do I take this to the next step? So I asked the link, you know, chat GPT, and I was like, is it chat GPT or GBT?
Is it GPT-4?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, they have a few. There's like 3.5, there's 4. But I asked it, I'm like, how can I make this into a video?
Right.
And then it'll tell you like, yo, go to check out these 2 AI softwares where you can just plug in the article and it'll convert into a video for you. I'm like,
That's
okay, cool. So I'll start adding that to YouTube. And then now I have a more interactive and more visually enhanced way to promote my educational component of my website. So that's what, like, the next step for us is we're doing a little more. It just takes practice, focusing on, you know, asking the questions, and then just getting in a routine, and then practicing that, being consistent, and having that empire is the way mentality where every other day, start an article. You know what I mean? When you wake up, you brush your teeth, write an article.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. So you've done installations, I think campaigns in Wynwood. I remember seeing one where there was
all
like
over.
But the reason I'm saying is like a specific one that I saw that there was like almost like a skate park and like bicycle thing on the roof.
The motorcycle one?
Yeah.
That was a really cool one.
Yeah. What was that about?
Oh, wow. That was crazy.
I've always wanted to ask you that. That's why.
So that show was one of the most special shows we ever did. And it was in partnership with Red Bull athletes.
That was a Red Bull campaign, right?
Yeah. And I remember with a lot of the briefings and stuff like that, when I was trying to get the locations, I wanted to do something that was radical, that hasn't been done before. A lot of our shows that we do, they're usually firsts in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, you know, the year before that, we had monster trucks crushing cars, which is like at an art show. No one's seen that before. Inspired by like, you know, different monster truck brands and FMX and just like childlike, nostalgic dreams that
almost like Hot Wheels brought to life.
Yeah. So like this show basically was in partnership with the Miami Design District and then the Red Bull athletes. And we basically were like, yo, this is a beautiful rooftop garage, a rooftop of already a known garage that's designed by famous, you know, architects and things like that, designers. And what can we do on here? And I was with Hayes, one of the marketing specialists for Red Bull, and we're just looking at each other. I'm like, can we jump bikes on here? And he's like, yeah, we could do that. So I went, you know, back and forth with the Miami Design District, and I was like, we want to jump motorcycles on the roof of your museum garage. And they're like,
what was their first reaction?
Bro, people look at you like you're like, they don't. I mean, they understand art. The design district, they get it. Like,
right.
They're an art is what shaped their community. So they understand, but the reactions were interesting. They didn't really know how serious we were. until I started getting, movie permits, engineers involved, things like that, architects involved to help me make this a reality. And then we had a real concrete plan. And then, made a nice deal with them. They were cool. They understood that, this wasn't a money thing. This is like, hey, I want to jump motorcycles on here. I understand I can only have 250 people or 200 people on the roof, do it for weight restrictions. So that thing doesn't, and they understood that the project was strictly like art. It was an art project. There was no, it was not a money-making thing. We just wanted to create history. So anyways, we ended up getting the movie permit, a filming permit, like a week before the show. Red Bull signed the contract, which is really cool. And then, we're all wings go. So we ended up, having 4 of the best motocross and FMX, guys in the world. 12-time gold medalist Ronnie Renner, Tyler Berman, Greg Duffy. They call him like the front flip hero. And then TJ Tiffany, who helped organize and the structures with the landings and the ramps. Right. So it's 2 takeoff ramps on scaffolds because you have on a calculated angle because it's a garage. So most parts are going up and down. So you have to build a scaffold, ramp on top of the scaffold with the landing on the other side. And we just had like an epic night where it was the first time in history that anyone's ever jumped motorcycles on the roof of a building like that. It was the first of its kind. So that was a historical moment. And it lived forever. You would see it everywhere and everyone knew about it and actually helped create a reputation for the brand as a brand that we can do anything,
So a project like that, prior to that, had you done anything similar?
Yeah, we did. We did the monster truck show, but that was we incorporated more of street bikes on the previous year. And it was cool working with these guys because it's like a lot of the mentality with the community is like, if you give somebody something to do, they stay out of trouble. These guys the kids like to ride the bicycles, and then the younger adults and the adults, they ride, motorcycles. The only thing is with promoting that kind of stuff is it's dangerous. It can be dangerous. You don't want to promote things that I don't want to promote things where someone can get really hurt. It's not a calculated type of thing. But we would work a lot with the charity aspect and community aspect of keeping kids busy with their bicycles and, being into a sport, and then we rented I rented a police impound or partnered with them, which was Downtown Towing at the time. Cool group. The owner and his wife were really, they loved art. So they wanted to make it happen. They hooked it up. It was a cool relationship, made a cool show happen. I had A Boogie with a Hoodie perform through Atlantic Records, which is dope. He performed Drowning and like a few other hits. And we had monster trucks crushing the cars. Like we would pull a car out. It was like a drawn on car and the monster truck would crush it.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. And then we had like a bunch of other elements that were interactive, but we're speaking of times where we've done exhibitions where it's considered almost dangerous or risky, but they own the property and I, had good contracts with these guys, and the monster trucks are they're professionals. These guys do shows all year long. Actually, their brand was called Monster Truck Throwdown. The brand was called Monster Truck Throwdown. And I was dealing with this guy named Elliot. Super nice. It was funny. It was cool working with him, but funny moment. So when they transport these monster trucks, they don't just come with the wheels on them like that. It doesn't, like imagine transporting
they don't just drive them through the street. No,
it doesn't work like that. So like, I was with one of the
artists. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't. So like I was with one of the artists at the time, and I think it was A-Hole, and we're like, and we threw his logo on there, and basically Metro Wraps. Bruno is a good friend of mine who owns Metro Wraps. They do a lot of stuff with the Heat, Panthers, stuff like that. He was like on the fly helping me with so many different things. Like I'm like, I need a giant logo for the side of the monster truck. Like tomorrow, he's like, all right, I got you, no problem. He's like, you'd make it happen.
Right.
And I remember I was with the artist. I'm like, yeah, the monster truck's here. We're getting delivery with the truck. And he looks at it. He goes, why are the wheels so small? Because it comes in like these little dud wheels to put it in the truck. And then, he was all like kind of like worked up about it. And I'm like, no, bro, those are like it's going to have the real wheels. I promise. Just wait like 2 hours. They're going to put it on. He's like freaking out for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like wondering where the real wheels are, thinking like, yo, you got played or something. It was funny. And then they finally put the big wheels on it.
How big are these wheels? They're like almost like a person size, right? They're big. Pretty big, right?
But yeah, they're heavy. I forgot the weight. The other day I went to Monster Jam and they were explaining a bunch of that stuff to us, but it was heavy. They're big wheels. And listen, it takes a village, to do these kinds of things. It takes a vision, and you're going to sound crazy at the beginning, but when you do it, it's cool, What
does that teach you about your abilities and what can be done and limits in reality?
Push them. I think you should be always pushing whatever you think is, your boundaries. Push those boundaries. Set boundaries within yourself and those around you, but always be striving to achieve more. Push yourself to, try to reach things that you haven't done. Be unique and authentic in your approach. And be persistent. If you hear no from somebody, go to the next person, go to the next person, go to the next property. Make it seem like you're not going to stop, and people will respect your commitment to what your vision is, and then it'll happen. Eventually it'll happen. If you try 1,000 times, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think those events are super cool, and they're not just cool, but they're actually trendsetters. They're pioneers. I mean, that mentality, you can apply it to everything that you do, right? Yeah. After that, everything becomes like possible. No?
Yeah.
Once you break that threshold?
Yes. And that's the cool thing. It's like some of the stuff that we're working on for the next few years, it's pretty cool. It's different. If we're playing with, let's say the water or land, okay, we're going to figure out air, what's next, it's like we're trying to always play with different elements and to come up with a unique concept that is not just, it's more than we're coming up with concepts that we want the community, we want it to be like, wow, like this is what Miami's about. Like Miami makes it happen. Like, it's not just about like, oh, it's the Art Plugs thing. This is like Miami's known for putting on cool shows like this, because like, the city has to approve these things, and you have to, do things a certain way. And it's about like, I was born in Miami. I want to represent Miami in a way. It's like, this is Miami, we do cool things,
What does Miami mean to you? Aside from that, what is Miami to you?
Diversity, an influx of different cultures. I think that it's a place of opportunity. I think that a lot of people move here and with their own kind of idea of what Miami is. But I think that Miami, being born here and having the opportunity to meet so many people from such different cultures it's just inspired me in so many ways. And I've been to like 40 something countries. Like, I've traveled, but Miami is its own breed. And like, I'm very thankful to have been born here. And I feel like it's like kind of like my duty to represent Miami.
Absolutely. Especially seeing all the diversity. 48 countries is a lot. A lot of people have never left one, right?
Yeah.
So it's a blessing, I would say also. But aside from Miami, what's your other favorite spot?
Oof. It's tough to say. It really depends. Throughout the years as I've grown and, matured, my tastes have evolved a little bit. I do like my half brother is, he's French. Mm-hmm. He's from Paris. But he travels between Italy and Bali. So, growing up, I would go to France a lot. And I would, paint with him. He introduced me to street art. He's actually how the first spray can I held was with him. One of the first, so we did a lot of experimenting, and he put me on. He was curating shows. He ended up not proceeding with his curational and art studies and things like that, and art research, but he inspired me to pursue art in a different, limelight, and then put me on to different artists like Invader and, Black Lerat and different guys like that really, started the street art movement, or at least commercialized the street art movement in Europe. So France.
Does that run in the family?
Kind of. My mom was an oil painter, not professional, but really nice.
Right.
You saw her work, it'd be like, wow, like this is actually talented. She has a lot of good talent. So I'd see some of the paintings around the house.
Yeah.
When I'd go to France, my father's mother was, knew a lot of these guys. She was gifted a Picasso piece, from Picasso back in the day.
Wow.
So she knew a lot of these guys, and I would hear stories growing up of Picasso or Dali who frequent in the south of France where my grandfather lived. So I'd be in south of France a lot. And that inspired me, kind of like, you don't realize that it inspires you, but it's like, it's not like you go, hey, I want to be like that because of this story or whatever. It's just kind of what happens, like my mom likes to cook. I didn't become a chef,
right.
And she's like big into cooking, and she's always like handing me Ziplocs of empanadas and stuff, it's like, but I'm not a chef.
Empanadas?
Yeah, all day, bro. Or she cooks all the time.
But in France, they make empanadas?
No, she's Peruvian.
She's Peruvian.
Yeah,
okay.
Half my family's South American, and the other half was French.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the second place you said is France.
I would say France, and then Italy. Italy's cool. I studied in Spain as well. Europe is just cool in general. You can just move around a lot. Things are really close to each other. You can kind of get a different vibe fairly quickly. Kind of like the States. I love the States a lot. Like I used to have a school bus, full size. I'll send you pictures of it. I don't think hilarious. We'd drive that around. I remember one time I drove all the way to New York, and we're like showering in a waterfall. Like we didn't have it. Nobody see. We're with a talking cockatoo, a Great Dane, 5 of my other buddies. We have a big speaker, and it's a diesel bus from the 1981 International School Bus.
The yellow bus. No, zebra.
We painted it like zebra, like a safari, and just drove around with this thing. It was so funny, man. We were just.
When was this?
Oh, this is right after college. After college, a lot of people go straight into work and pursue their careers. I'm like, you know what? I want to learn a little bit more about myself. And like, I kind of still want to, I did the 5-year program with Florida State, did study abroad. And I wanted to continue learning about myself a little more. So I just traveled for, quite some time, and then moved back down, got into nightlife. Because I was trying to get jobs, and I studied hospitality, and I couldn't get a job. It was like very hard, for me to get a job. Is it
because hospitality is closed off, or just it wasn't a good time, or what was?
I didn't have perfect. I was dean's list for like half the time in college, but then the other half I wasn't. You know what I mean? It's like I was kind of the type like, okay, I already conquered this. I don't need to be a straight A student.
Yeah.
I remember I had to take cooking twice, which is pretty interesting. But, it was just, there were boundaries. I don't know what exactly it was. I just wasn't, I guess, as qualified as I could have been, even though I did have an internship with the Ritz-Carlton Central Park after college. And then I came down here. I applied to really cool hotels, and I didn't get the jobs. So I was like, you know what? Kind of wanted, nightlife could be a good start. Meet people, work in nightlife, meet some girls, whatever, So I figured it made sense. And then I worked my way up into more of management roles, where instead of being a promoter or whatever, I was, directing and more of a creative director type figure in these establishments. So
when did you officially become the art plug?
This is 2017 was when 2018. 2017. This
was after doing a few of these creative director type of gigs, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So you became the art plug. Your friend at the time kind of like dubbed you the art plug.
Yes.
And at that moment, you're trying to figure out not trying to figure out nightlife. You're already in it, running some of these companies, getting really into the brand aspect of things, and now you're like, oh shit, I could wield my own empire within this, right? So you had some challenges during your art plug days, because everything, I'm assuming, is like a roller coaster, ups and downs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me something about that part of your life?
Yes. So, it kind of happened. The blow up happened quickly. It was very unplanned. I didn't expect it to turn into what it was. So, it was all new to me. I didn't have, I didn't come from a family of famous people or something where, it's not like I'm, Miley Cyrus or something, or I don't know how to explain it. Like someone who's had like a father figure, a mother figure that's been through the entertainment business.
Right.
So I had to learn firsthand how, kind of the world worked for someone in that, in that realm. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of like different things where things were happening where it's like, you can kind of become a target, in a way. And certain people might love what you do, but there's always going to be a handful that may not. And then you're dealing with you could deal with a lot of harassment, even bullying and things that you don't really think happen to a lot of these people, a lot of, it looks shiny and everything, but there's a lot of people that want to bring you to another spot, and I've definitely succumbed a few times to, letting a certain situation get the best of me and things like that. But the key is to listen, like, you have to realize that no matter how low you can go, you got to get back up. You got to, find it within you to have the mentality to find balance again and come back stronger, and let those experiences shape you, not break you. So, that being said, I've had health issues and, like harassment issues. I've dealt with almost, every government agency over like silly things, people, let's say, there's even situations where people they'll go into they try to get your emails or whatever. And then they'll create like a fake website that's, like looking like yours, and they fish clients like that. And like things can happen where it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's hard.
Well, they try to mimic and try to take your stuff, right?
Nowadays, there's a lot of fraud. Like, a lot of the world is dealing with cyber criminals and people that are like just they're literally just trying to, rip your identity or figure out how to do like different types of fraudulent activities. And like, it's not cool. One time, like I sold a piece of art or I was buying some, I don't remember exactly. I've sold a lot. I sold thousands of pieces. It's hard for me to remember, but basically, me and this basketball player, Shabazz Muhammad, I think it was like selling a piece for him. Anyways, I sent money to somebody for a piece of art on behalf of me and Shabazz, and the Secret Service sent the money back to us. They like caught the guy and sent the money back to me and Shabazz. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because I was like, it wasn't like a crazy amount of money, but
that's unheard of though, because usually it's a whole, yeah.
I was like, what? I'm like, this is kind of cool. It was like very interesting that, I didn't realize that I was getting frauded, but, it happens a lot, but touching on like, the coming into art and figuring out where, what was going to define Marcel, as in my career path and choices, was the ability to connect with people was driven by my, hospitality roots. Right. But I started doing shows and stuff like that in 2013, 2014. Aris and Roman, they're cool bosses. They were, and Justin at the time.
From Kiki, no?
The guys from Kiki, like they were cool. Like if they saw something in you, they would let you run with it, like, I had 9 out of 10 of the shows they loved. There was occasionally sometimes where I would, I'm human. Maybe I pulled the wrong string on the show, but they gave me the platform to start experimenting with what I was doing, which was pursuing art, plugging art into nightlife, like starting to recognize artists as celebrities, kind of like, yo, it's a big deal. We have this artist in the house tonight. Get the DJ to shout him out. Everyone's wondering who this artist is, you know, and it's like, and then they would also let me, you know, throw different kinds of events and stuff like that in collaboration with the talent. So with that spark, it gave me, you know, it helped me build relationships with the talent through providing opportunities for the artists. And then later on, I was like, listen, like, I kind of want to, you know, pursue more of a day life, you know, even though my roots, I love music and like, I love going to a concert at night or whatever, you know, that'll never really leave me. I just don't have to be in a night environment 6 days a week, which is something that I think is really cool, is how they evolved. And like, they went, like when you look at somebody that used to mentor you and you see how they pivoted into, you know, food, day life, nightlife, to mixture, to fusion, that's cool. And I learned a lot by watching the way they moved, watching the way they worked, and just, hey, listen, like, it's not always going to be smiles and stuff, you know, it's sometimes you have to be, it's tough love. And like, people like that are really, you know, I'm thankful for it, because it really like taught me a lot. You know?
What does tough love teach you the most? Like, what is the biggest lesson through tough love?
Oof, you know, that sometimes, you know, you're going to be dealt, you're going to have a lot of things in front of you, and it's going to be, you know, hard for you to look at it in a way where look at it like a learning experience, but everything that gets thrown your way is, you know, for the best of your, you know, you should make it for the best of your career. It's not always going to be obvious, but, you know, if you fuck up, you fuck up, bro. Like, you own it and be like, all right, how can I make it better? You can't be scared of fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to fuck up. Like, I don't know any great mind that is perfect. Like, and if someone is too perfect, I think it's a little weird. I get a little scared. I'm like, I don't know if I can trust you.
Right. Red flag almost.
What?
Yeah.
Like, you're just too proper. You know?
Yeah. I think you get to a point where it's not, I can't speak for everybody, but the perception of the person living that life, if they could turn every loss into a lesson, they'll start looking proper because nothing bothers them. But there's a lot of work behind that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you could pivot from like nightlife to drinking, now to food and what they've done, because you shouted them out and you're like, yo, I learned a lot from these guys. It means that they've watched their road. They're making the adjustments. Maybe you're not seeing them in front of you, but they're doing it on their own, you know?
Exactly.
At some level. Exactly.
And like another person that is like, you know, important to mention would be a guy like, let's say, Dave, and what he started with Groot, you know, where it's like, you know, he has a foundation of nightclubs. I helped open Stories, so I'd run the tables.
Nice.
Like, if you walked in and you wanted a table, I was there in a suit, in my Zara suit, running you in there. And, you know, working with guys like this, that they understand what innovation looks like. They know how to adapt to the times. Like, if something gets thrown at them, they don't give a shit. They'll make it work. You have restaurants that are doing ridiculous revenue, you know, have high revenue streams, you know, like, that high revenue, high grossing restaurants, even during, you know, economically difficult times, you know, like right now. Not necessarily right now, but like, you know, past 2-3 years, right, for people down here. But Miami's its own animal. But a guy like Dave, who has pivoted from harnessing nightlife, helping establish the importance of, you know, some of the music and, you know, the platform that he currently has, into creating restaurants and other avenues that, listen, it's a whole experience, you know. He really like guys like him really created a lifestyle, you know. It's a real way of, it's a way of life for some people. And I respect that. And I think that it's cool to watch the growth, you know, especially when you work for people like that, and, you know, understanding why they operate a certain way, or even not understanding why they operate a certain way, but respecting what they ask for. I've had employees and people, or teammates or whatever, I don't like really say employees, I've had teammates, you know, that I've worked with before, and I'll say something and it's like, they'll look at me like, why? And I'll be like, that's cool. I'll try to explain what it is. They don't understand what it is, why I'm telling them to do the certain thing. And they, you know, and it's, just go with the leader, you know, just follow my way. Just trust my process. But yeah. I don't know.
It's like it's very hard for them to accept the programming for some reason.
Yeah.
I look at it like understanding is not everybody's gonna understand each other.
Yeah.
But in these type of cases, they just have to accept. Like if they're coming into like a I guess like a starting position, you're a newcomer, you have to accept as things are. You can't just come and start challenging the status quo if you don't know what you're talking about. So that's what I would assume some of them would probably want to challenge you for no reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. But you just have to respect the fact that the business works, learn, and then eventually you get to make your own once you mature enough, right?
Yeah. And the whole idea is it's empowerment. You know, you want to give people the ability to make decisions and be able to, you know, you want to scale. And in order to scale, you need to put the power in people's hands, you know, and there has to be a certain level of trust, and those things come with time, you know, and sometimes I test people, you know, like I want to see what, you know, I'll put you in a room with somebody and you don't know that this person is really asking you some questions that are, I told him to ask, you know what I mean? And he's going to come right back, or she's going to come right back to me and tell me what it is that, you know, how you really feel. You know, listen, but at the end of the day, it's more of like, if you are authentic in your approach and you really believe in something, once you find that, go with it, just go. And, you know, and it shouldn't be about money. It should be more about, you know, making it happen and having those long and short-term goals outlined so that you can figure it out. And not everything's going to be written, but you know, step in the right direction every day, you know, is what you should be going for.
You know, I like the word empower because the first two letters are EM, like from empire.
Yeah.
And then power, you know, empire power.
Yes.
What is the nightlife to you? Was it like drug, sex, and rock and roll for a while? Or?
I mean, you know, when you're working in the field, and you really can't be getting, you know, can't be.
I guess I was asking more towards like the art plug side.
I mean, when I would go out, listen, like, you know, I've been in situations where, I mean, it comes up, you know, people want to have fun, and, you know, they see it. It's hard to say because it changed a lot over time. I mean, yes, a lot of it was. It is like almost kind of like rock and roll, kind of like when you look at Motley Crue and you watch these Netflix videos or movies or whatever, and I'm watching different films. I'm like, damn, this is like very similar. Like I've had some moments where I'm like, holy shit, like I'm like, this is some wild stuff. Like I've seen some, you know, I've had interesting moments, you know, but, you know, something I noticed in like advice, I think to, you know, to aspiring artists or creatives is like, you know, that lifestyle is not sustainable. It can be fun for a little bit. You can have your wins, you could celebrate, but if you're achieving what you want to achieve every day, what are you going to go out every night because you had, you know, you completed 30 tasks today? You're going to go out and celebrate? No, you have to understand that you have to make yourself rare. You can't be going out all the time. You have to understand that, you know, the mystery adds value, and the ability to work on yourself, get ahead. This is the opportunity you have to get ahead. While everyone's out, stay in, you know, and then step outside a little bit, show people, but don't overextend yourself. Don't be in a location for, you know, 3 hours. That's, you know, go for an hour, show face, shake hands, whatever. Next venue, make it count. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's a concert, if it's like a certain type of music or something that I like, I'll go out sometimes, you know, solo dolo. I have, you know, someone that takes care of me or whatever. And I'm just like in my zone and I have a blast. I'm on the dance floor type. I'm not kind of guy. I like to dance, you know, like, and I like all sorts of music. You know, I can go to an orchestra, you know, it's witness a symphony, or I can go to a rave. You know, I love techno, but at the same time, it's like I like to enjoy myself, and like that's something that I've recently been able to do, was enjoying my own company, like understanding that like you don't have to be around 30 people or a group of people to enjoy yourself. You can enjoy yourself in many different ways. So I'm learning to like kind of love myself, and it's making me, you know, appreciate what I'm doing, what I've done, and where I'm going.
Yeah, because I remember that you, I mean, like from the times that I remember, you've always had your team with you, like kind of rolling with almost like a whole entourage. You know, you had your I think your wife at the time, or whoever, you know, fiance. I mean, you know, that's pretty close. And the girls and the guy, you know, there's a whole entourage.
The whole entourage, the whole group. You know, but and that's another point. You know, is a lot of times you want to be really nice and you want to bring people along for, you know, for the good times, and like be able to like, you know, there's certain teammates who are like, oh, they're gonna go out or something. They're like, I had a couple that was working for me. I was the type of guy that'd be like, yo, you know, to the boyfriend, I'd be like, yo, here's some extra bucks, so you guys can have your night on me. Like, you know what I mean? Go have, you know, enjoy yourself, and stuff like that. But ultimately, when you mix these, like, I know that in Japanese culture, it's custom to like, you go and you drink with your bosses or your coworkers and stuff like that. But it's a different world. It's not America. It's just a different type of culture. Like here, to do that, sometimes it could hinder you, you know, and it's
the lines get crossed, kind of.
Yeah, you want to have a professional relationship with your teammates, coworkers. Like you get too friendly. Even if you don't text in a friendly way, people take it the wrong way. People will take something that you wrote, and they'll read it as, you know, as some other personality. It's however they want to, you know. And it's like, I can't tell you. And as you grow, the more you have more energy, you have more power. Anything you say can be taken. It happens more often than you know, than not.
I think this is why a lot of these popular people and prominent figures somehow out of nowhere get these lawsuits. Oh, 20 years ago you touched me, you know, that kind of just because they get to a point in status, or they've achieved to the point where now like, oh shit, they got something to lose now, you know.
Listen, like
that's
shit,
crazy, huh?
Bro, but here's the thing, like it's interesting because like, you know, following certain cases and things like that, you know, these are people that were raised a certain way, you know. Luckily, you know, we have a great education system around here. We have a good support system in Miami. You know, we have a lot of like, you know, good philanthropic avenues that you can pursue. And if you need help, therapy is a great thing to do. Like therapy, one of the best things I ever did was go to therapy. And like, there's no like shame into like trying different, you know, there's some that are nonprofits. If you Google like, nonprofit therapists, Florida, you can find ones per state. And like, I started with a nonprofit, you know, that was basically helping me with free complimentary therapy. Due to, it was just a lot of things going on, and I wanted to address certain things, and, you know, I want to talk to a professional, someone, you know. And then basically after that, I ended up doing, you know, liking it so much. I really appreciated where I was going, appreciating myself, and understanding that I was really growing even more than ever because of the therapy I was doing, that I ended up, you know, getting a serious, like, you know, master's in psychology, therapist, and all that stuff. So
you pursued that?
Yeah. I do it voluntarily.
Oh,
I think that it's important. I think that, bro, everyone's going to have like I had one of my neighbors, you know, in our community the other day. He calls me. He's like, this is a couple months ago. He calls me. He's like, bro, this guy just threw a stop sign at my car. Like one of the road workers like hit my car with a stop sign. I'm like, well, what did you do to cause that? He goes, I'm like, yo, just don't do anything. Just drive off. Don't start a fight with this guy. You know what I mean? Like these types of things. Like he's calling me. to ask me what he should do. I'm like, do not do anything silly. Like, you have your kids and you have a family.
Yeah.
You have your career. You're going to start a fight with a guy on the street in Collins Avenue because the construction guy was rude. Who cares? Like, don't feed the fire. Fix the scratch. Who gives a shit? It's the tax in life, and things like that happen. It's just, shit's going to happen. I mean, it's part of it, but it's cool to talk to somebody that is unbiased and is going to tell you the truth. But you have to be open with yourself. It wasn't like, at first I wasn't telling 100% of who I really was. I wanted to open up slowly as I got to know this person, and it became, someone that I was excited to see every week, and I typically do it on Fridays now, and I have my set time, and it's cool. It's really helped me a lot, and I highly suggest. I think therapy is a great way for people that, especially if you feel like, you feel like things may be up in the air for you, bro. This will answer a lot of your questions. Not to mention, Google is a great therapist too. Ask the internet. Like, bro, you have a computer in your hands.
Yes.
Don't be lazy. Just search it. Like, is this normal? Am I feeling, but I never really, the antidepressants and things like that, because I went through like, ups and downs, and I was put on a lot of different medication, and I was numb, bro. I was like, for like a few months, once the medicine starts kicking in, you kind of become numb. You're like, you don't have the fire anymore. And I'm like, I'm like calm and shit, but I felt off. I felt like that wasn't Marcel. So I told my psychiatrist, I was like, listen, man, I'm going to stop taking this stuff. Like, I don't want to take any pills. Like, I want to go like natural. And I started to do, combine my physical and mental therapy with, going to a fitness center that provides me with a cold and it's a wet room and dry heat. So sauna, steam, cold plunge. And
nice.
I go 6 days a week. Like, I'm in there and it's my ritual. I go every day for an hour, something like that. And it's like the combination of that therapy and being able to sit down disconnected. You're not really on your phone. You can have your phone, but it's they don't want you on your phone.
Yeah. Respect it. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, it's amazing. It's helped me out a lot. And understanding that I hated the cold plunge. Hated it. And then I started to go into it ankle deep, knee deep, up to my waist. Now I go to my neck, and I do like 2-3 minutes. And it's a different, it really has helped my body kind of, fight different types of, like, I used to like to drink a lot. For some reason, I don't care to drink a lot. Like, if you see me out, might have a drink, but I might not.
All of that therapy helps you align. So once you align, you don't want to disalign, and it's like you don't want to take. You're at such a good vibration that you start taking drinks, you start going off low vibration. Like, what the hell am I doing? This is where I was living. Let me go back to right.
Yeah.
So like,
absolutely, and that's something that listen, it comes with experience, it comes with maturity. It's about really, I think, being open with yourself and just, making sure that you're embracing that. And it's okay to do those kinds of, I don't see anything wrong with experimenting, but I think you should be balanced, and you should always make sure that you're, in a safe environment, or whatever, what it is you're going to do. That's between you and God, or you and the higher power above, so treat it with respect and understand that, if you're going to be playing with fire, it could get burned. Right. But yeah, ultimately these things, I think that most people end up growing out of those types of, cravings, when you start working on yourself, and you want your memory to be sharp. You don't want to be like cloudy and, not remember the author of the book you were just, listening to.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite writers, like Robert Greene, who's written a bunch of novels.
Yeah.
And what's cool is he's got audiobooks, so I just turn Spotify on, go to the gym, do an audiobook, and I'm doing Mind Body, or Arnold Schwarzenegger. His is really good too. I love his. I just listened to his book, and it's kind of funny because I'm working out while listening to him. It's kind of hilarious, but I learned a lot from these kind of guys. And something that Arnold said that he loved chasing was he would shift to a new industry, like governor, or from, different industries, and having to work his way up to the top again. And that was what he was chasing, because it's like a high for him, and to compare, like for me, is my exploration of like music. I started producing music. Well, I've been doing it secretly. I just started releasing it. So like, if you search the Art Plug on Spotify or whatever, is it perfectly, is it like how you say, I'm just playing and having fun with what I like, which is what worked for me in many other realms, like Giphy, where I have billions of views, or, a bunch of different, it's just an art form that I use to express myself. And like, you can actually learn a lot about me by kind of like the track lists. I'm kind of talking about a lot of my life, and I always just thought it was cool to listen to your own shit. I'm like, why not?
That's pretty interesting, man.
Mm-hmm. So I produced like 5 albums. No, actually 3 albums, 3 EPs in the past year.
How many songs per album?
Oh, it depends. They vary, but like 8 to 12.
8 to 12 per album?
Yeah.
Oh, so you, at
and
least
the EPs
30.
are like, 2 to 3. Sometimes there's one that has like 5, and then there's a couple singles.
Oh,
They're cool. Like
super dope, man.
Yeah, and they're different styles.
So under Spotify, the Art Plug.
Yeah, Spotify,
and you can find
Apple Music, you can search the Art Plug. But
what kind of music is that?
So I did it in a way where, and I'm still navigating this because I'm working on like a Latin style stuff, because a lot of it is inspired by those around me, right? And with my mother a lot. So like my mom likes, the Latin, the Latin flavor. So I'm working on a project that's going to be, that's the inspiration, is that side of me. But what I currently have out there is these musical compositions are like classical modern, classical electric, drum and bass, which is like, more upbeat, like techno-ish. I had some stuff with vocals on it. One of the albums called Take Me Away, which is pretty cool. Because I do use, I have AI driven components to help me compose the music, and it's dope because you can really do almost anything nowadays. And it's so crazy what these computers can do, and combined with, certain sounds and things that I like, and I'm able to produce a lot, and, but these things come naturally, I don't think it's, music and art in general, like what a great artist understands different mediums, or is spectacular at one, and that's it, like you're either the master of one, or you're real good at a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like a guy like Jordan, where he could, rebound, shoot, dunk, and lead. That's a good artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're like a renaissance man. You could do all these different things almost at an excellent level.
And I love
very unique.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, right?
And I love it. And it's like, you can ask a lot of people and be like, yo, will you teach me how to do this? Will you teach me how to do it? Dude, it's when people are going to start messing with you and wanting to work with you, when they see that you're being proactive and that you're chasing your passion, teach yourself how to do it. YouTube University it, or figure out a way to, make it happen. And then that'll help you realign, and that'll help you start to, get these collaborations, or get the attention that you want from different musicians or different people in that industry. Although you shouldn't really ever do it for anybody but yourself. Like, the best art you're ever going to make is what you love, but you get my point. You catch my drift on that. Like like you and what you do, bro. Like what you do is, I mean, you have your tattoo shops, you have this podcast, you're combining education with an art form that is on your body. It's not like you put it on your wall. Okay, I'm sick of it. See you later. No, this shit, it's on you. It's for life. And you've established yourself as, one of the most successful, tattoo shops and, leaders in our community. And you've been in business for what, like over 15 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember the first time I met you, and you struck me as somebody that I like, wow, like this guy's like kind of like a sensei. I'm like, what is he? I'm like, does he have a middle name? Like, so many questions,
Sensei, I love that. That's pretty interesting, man.
I mean, bro, I would come to you and just be like, yo, let's just do, what's the plan? What's the big plan, Marcel? And I'd be, and you know me, I'd be like, there's no plan. We're just gonna freestyle it.
Yeah. And I think that, you know what? That's one of the things that I learned in freestyling. I did a lot of like freehand art, because everything kind of to me was like, there was something about just creating something for that moment and that moment only, instead of like preparing things for days and weeks. Mm-hmm. And then somebody comes, oh, I don't like that sketch. Even from day one, I was always like, let me just prepare it at the moment. Let me catch your vibe, your idea, melt it together, and right there in that moment, come up with the fucking hit, Yeah. And I think that's also what I brought into also the pod, is like, really, I'm not interested in curating this prior. This is just it has to flow. It has to be genuine. It's original. There's no script. There's no script. This is life unscripted.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that we couldn't do this again this way, even if we tried. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, I think there's a magic to it. I've done it. I've tattooed over, I think it was like 14,000 people the same way.
Yeah.
So everyone was like a story. Curate the story, grab everything that I can, do something for that person for life. It's kind of therapy. Let me walk them through it. It's a rite of passage, this whole shit going on at the same time. Boom, here you go. Here's the finished product. Now let me still give you my best self. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. It's not about me. So I kind of learned how to disconnect from the artist and give more of the meaning.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I did that so many times that now that like I live there.
Bro, it's organic.
I live there.
It's natural.
You know what I'm saying?
For you, it's it's like a science. Like, you understand the formula. You know how to do it. It's inherent. It's completely natural to you.
Yeah, and I think that ties into what Empire is the Way is really about.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, I was like, okay, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't stay clean, if I don't stay disciplined, I'm not going to be able to maintain that.
Exactly. And
hold up the business and still take care of everybody's payroll. Payroll's fucking every week. It doesn't, So there's a lot of variables. My family, making sure that I'm still a father first. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of moving parts there. And I'm like, okay, let's do the Atlas thing. If I want to hold this weight up, then I got to be very very strong doing that. Very disciplined, mean what I say what I mean, and work fucking hard, bro. Yep. And that's what I've been doing, and I'm blessed to be able to say I'm still doing it.
Yeah, and you're someone that inspires, people like myself to pursue, a more consistent path and things like that,
Thank you.
And watching what you've built, and it's the continuous growth, and like our friendship we've been friends for a few years now. It's been, nothing has changed really. We're just both a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser.
Yeah.
And but we're still chasing you're still the same guy. I'm still the same guy.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see, and it's definitely inspirational. So I mean, definitely a big thank you, because I think that this is something that a lot of people can watch and learn from. And I think that with your future guests that you were telling me about, which is kind of cool, it's exciting to see and hear that you have such special people from different, spectrums of business or knowledge can come on and share their thoughts, insights, stories, values, and ethics with, the public.
Yeah.
I think that's the education is one of the biggest gifts you can give people, is the ability to learn. And that is, something that's very respectful. So I commend you for that.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot coming from you. Tell me about like some of the coolest brands and people that you work with. Like, prominent, like who's who? I mean, are you allowed to even?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about some of it. One of my favorites is obviously Red Bull. I think Red Bull is it's just such a cool brand because they're not like, it's not always about it's the way they market, the way they move, the way they have a community tie-in.
Yeah.
Everything has its purpose and reason, and they have a really strong team, and it's global. They have a global impact, and that I think is very, very cool. They're fun to work with. But ultimately, honestly, like artists in general, creatives, whether they're digital or physical creatives, they're all a brand within themselves, and they're always different, all these guys are different. So being able to work with people from all over the world and what their brand is a very cool experience to me. Another cool like brand, kind of cool is the Brightline. Like the Brightline's dope. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
The Brightline, they're changing the way you commute. They're changing the way you attend the Hard Rock or go to Disney or go to work or whatever. Like those are the types of brands that when I work with them and I see the way that they move, it's inspiring because it's organized, but yet, I mean, if you told somebody you were going to have a train going from, Miami to Orlando, 10 years ago, you'd probably think, I don't see where this is going to happen. But look now,
Yeah.
Now they're expanding to
what are you doing? What are you doing with them?
We're in talks. We're just talking. There's some certain concepts that I want to work on with them. But yeah, I have a very firm approach with some of these brands, and I have a relationship with them. They've known me for years, since 2019. So like, we're figuring it out.
Gotcha.
We want to have something that, like right now, we haven't hit anything where it's like we're both in love with the idea. So like, we just kind of keep talking and support each other, and then hopefully we come to a point where we can do something. But we just continue the conversation, keep in touch, and then if the energy's there, the energy's there. We're going to pursue it, and they know that we'll deliver. They know how they know how we work. Another pretty cool, interesting brands are like, a lot of these, like Lyft was pretty cool, and a lot of the programs that they had. We don't work with Lyft right now. We're not we don't have a deal with them or anything. But in the past, we've worked with them, and they were doing a lot of give back programs for their drivers, for the communities, donations, things like that, beautifying the neighborhoods, and they would have these really cool programs that highlighted the drivers, or they'd create like throughout Miami, they had these like drivers like stops where you could basically pull in. They'd have like snacks, water, like a chill out area if you're a Lyft driver.
For a Lyft driver, that's pretty dope.
So you could pull in and hang out and kind of like get your energy back and then get back to work.
Yeah, because you're driving people all day. It's
yeah, they have initiatives. Yeah, and just most of the brands that combine the community with respecting and understanding their teammates and the people that make the wheels spin. Those are the kinds of brands that I think are just dope.
As far as like clients, any memorable clients, any like high profile people order some art from you?
Oh, let me think.
Crazy shit.
I mean, some of these guys, they like how I don't just throw their names out there. They like to stay private and stuff like that. But some of the cooler guys are like some of the athletes I've dealt with. I don't really like to throw names out there. I let the deals and the the actions kind of define how things move forward, but like, I'm always going to be in touch with these people. We always create a memorable experience. Some of the guys I can tell you some funny stories. Like I've shipped a painting before to a client, right? And then the client or collector, the painting gets there like broken, and I'm like, shit, there's only like 50 of these in the world, and it's a rare piece. And now the value went up. So it's like,
right.
Between packing it, shipping it, sometimes the market changes. And couldn't find a replacement piece. But eventually, you know, I just basically had a good conversation with the guy, and I was like, listen, like, I stand by my name. I'll figure it out. Just give me a few. It took 6 months, 5 months, but I ended up sending him the piece he loved.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lower number. It ended up working out in favor of the collector as far as what the value was and stuff like that. And we ended up becoming close friends. Like, you know, we used to talk like almost every other night, you know, then things, you know, we both got a little bit busier, but I ended up developing a relationship with somebody over a mistake that happened. And we just, you know, I saw that he was somebody that, you know, wasn't going to be, you know, wasn't like a pain in the butt about something that was out of my control. It was packed perfectly. You know, it just was thrown, but sometimes the shippers throw a piece of, they'll throw the box or whatever, or it's stacked or something like that. You know, we did the best we could, and he respected that. And then, you know, and then from our end, we made it right and even better for him. So it was cool, you know, and you see the way people act and react. And that's when you see the real person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When they're in a proactive state rather than a reactive state, you know. We did a collab, me and you. And it was a Salvador Dali exhibit here in Miami. I know I did the tattoos there for you, but what was it like putting that event together? Because that's the first time they brought those.
First time Dali was in Miami.
Dali was in Miami. So that's another brand. I mean, would you consider that a brand or just an artist? I mean, he's passed away, but is it like a brand? Right?
He's many different things. I mean, he's one of the most, you know, iconic, you know, painters ever. He was also widely popular while he was alive, which was, you know, quite rare at the time. And he was, you know, he was quite out there. He was known for having a personality that was different. Yeah. He'd walk around with an anteater. He had his mustache that was curled like this. So we worked with the Dali universe. We imported a bunch of sculptures, and works on paper and things like that to create the first ever Dali show in Miami. You know, Miami never got to experience a Salvador Dali show, which is kind of cool to be able to make that happen. Obviously, you know, you have to follow, like, you know, the rules of each brand. You know, let's say like we're working with Hyatt, right? So, you know, there's certain rules in our deal that I have to abide by, you know, and then there's certain rules with in the way you present the art and things like that they're trusting me to make sure that I'm doing this correctly with a brand like the Dali universe.
What kind of rules?
I mean, you know, it's got to be clean. It's got to be, you know, everything's got to be done in a sanitary way. It's during COVID. So, like, you know, you have to make sure that you don't have too many people in the room at the same time. You know, that's why we're doing shows of 4 so people can have a little distance. You'd walk into the show and you know, separation, things like that. Just following safety protocol, making sure that the viewer is able to experience it in a safe way. And you're representing whatever brand it is that's trusting you with their name to the best you can, you know, the best way you can. Like Stella Artois, for example, which is our like beer partner. And I've done commercials for them and like other types of, you know, media promotions, which I've had a lot of fun with them, you know, but like taking it to the next level, like doing things that aren't on the list, being able to like incorporate it, like how I'm drinking a Stella while you're remember you were tattooing me in front of the large sculpture, and I'm drinking a Stella because like the brand's cool. I fuck with their lifestyle. I believe in I believe in that brand, you know? So, you know, we made sculptures that complemented the beer, right? Like a big star, where you put the beer in the star, and you'd be able to open the beer with a sculpture because we're making a show of sculptures. And that motion. So, like, let's say you go to the bar, right? And you're obviously ask for your beer, right? And you're here to experience the Dali show. We hand you a beer. We don't just hand you the beer. The label's showing, the bartender knows to open it a certain way. Then we hand you the beer. So it's like there's something happening. So it creates a memory. And that way it creates more brand awareness. It makes it stick more.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I remember I got one of those glasses. They etched it too.
Yeah.
I have like the Empire ink etched into it.
Yes.
I should bring that one here too, because that's a good piece to have here. I have that one.
Those little things are ways that, you know, it creates that sticky factor where people don't just, you're not just giving someone a cocktail, you know, and then they forget what it is. They don't know what brand it is or whatever. Like, you know, you saw the star, you'll never forget that again. And that's what makes, you know, them want to work with you again, you know. But what we did was really cool because, it was like, I remember we were like talking, I'm like, how can we do something cool? And we're like, oh, why don't you do your own, you know, you're one of the best tattoo artists in the world. Why don't you just do your own renditions of the sculptures that we're displaying? And then people can get a free tattoo that's basically like your interpretation of the Dali sculptures.
Yes.
Which is kind of like, you know, it's kind of crazy. You know, people can walk in, get a tattoo of what they're looking at, and they, you know, have it forever.
Yeah, I thank you for the compliment, but there's some awesome tattoo artists out there. There's some badass mofos, but yes, absolutely. That was a good collab. Those sculptures came from Switzerland, right?
Yes.
And there was one that came from the Vatican as well.
Yes. So he's got an exact version. Pope John Paul has an exact version of the centerpiece, which was St. George slaying the dragon.
Right.
St. George represented, you know, man like us, man overcoming, you know, the dragon, which was COVID at the time. So it felt like that piece made the most sense to showcase during COVID. But yes, he has the exact one. He was gifted it like years ago. I think it was like 1980 something. And, you know, or actually, no, I think it was in the 90s. Sorry. It was in the 90s when he was gifted it. But yeah, he has one of those at the Vatican.
Yeah. Those are pretty much priceless, right? At that point.
I mean, you could technically buy it if you know the right person,
right,
but it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not like a $200,000. It's bronze, you know. It takes 20 people to move it. Like,
it's a heavy piece.
Yeah.
What is the most memorable art exhibit that you've done thus far?
Oof, probably honestly, probably the first one we did as that I ever did as like my own show. Because it's easy to criticize other people, and when you're working behind the scenes with an artist, and like you may bump heads a little bit and you're setting things up. When you're doing it on your own and it's your show, you start realizing like, wow, like, you know, like this requires a lot of work. Like, this is no joke. And hey, like, all liabilities on you. You know, you're the guy throwing the show. You got to make sure that you have your priorities straight, which is like everyone have an exceptional experience. Everyone has a safe experience, and that you honor the artist or whoever you're showcasing in the correct manner, you know. And you have to be also realistic with your expectations and the way you maybe approach artists or inform artists or get them to be a part of your show, you know. So
your favorite one is your first one because
there were failures, there were triumphs. Like, we had to figure out how to make the front look cool, and like how to, you know, like, okay, it looks kind of slow. It looks kind of like, not slow. It looks kind of like how can we make a mural interactive, you know? And I partnered with a guy, Oliver Cole, who's a known gallerist here. He had a good location in Wynwood, and, you know, he was cool. He like messed with the vision, and he let me do cool stuff around him, you know, and around the gallery. And, you know, I made like an interactive physical mural where you could like hold the frames or like chain to the wall, so you could like be in the frame, whatever. And then I had like, you know, 3, you know, police cars, you know, off-duty cop cars, all blacked out with the lights on, with a big crane, with the plug hanging in the sky in the front, and you know, setting all that up and improvising, and things can go wrong. And when you're setting up your own show, and half is going to go right and the other half may not, you know. Sometimes the art doesn't get there, like, you know, it happens, you know, even at traditional art fairs where the art gets stuck at customs or something, you know.
What do you think about I've seen some people vandalize some prominent art, in the name of,
Yes.
I guess, what is it, like, global warming,
Yeah.
types of thing. What are your thoughts on that? Out of curiosity.
Environmental causes and all that.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. It's ridiculous. It's a shame that people are throwing away. Like, I've done research on this stuff, and like, I understand where they're coming from. You're throwing something. First off, there's most times there's some protective layering, or it's sometimes even a replica
on the art.
You don't even know it's a replica of the art. But a lot of times, like a smaller museum or something like that could get hit with like some silly person that comes in, thinks they're making a point, and does this, this gesture where they're just throwing a soup can. They use specific things. It's like, I think one of them was like a pumpkin soup. Another time it was like a chickpea. It was they use certain soups or certain things to deface the art. There's some reason, I forgot why. I think it's something to do with there's like health, something wrong with why the food isn't healthy or something. I forgot why they specifically do that, but I don't condone it. I think that it's a shame that people are doing that.
Right.
And listen, a lot of these, like when you go to like Italy or France or a lot of these countries in Europe, like they're old school countries. Like this is what makes this country special is like the cultural importance and significance of, some of these creations. It's not something that it's not just like a random art piece this is like, it defines the culture. And I think that people like that, it's kind of sad, man. It kind of hurts a little bit to see it. It definitely bothers me. Like, I'm like, what the heck? It's crazy to see this. Like, what? And then, but here's the key is, to understand why things like this are happening. And I think it's, people are uneducated. They're fighting something this is like, it's not a new oil painting. This is an old work. It's not like someone just painted this. It's not brand new. Like you're messing up old school, classic, historic artwork.
Yeah.
And then there's arson and there's a lot of theft. And it's like, how are you going to, you're going to steal a classic painting and then what? You're going to take it where? To the black market and what? And then what's the point of that? It's like, it's not yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
You should respect, I think respecting, history and is an important thing to me. But it's inevitable. You're going to see crazier things happening. What do you think? The world's just getting more wild. I mean, you have a storefront. You have many.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've witnessed some crazy shit.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff, and people try to sue you for no reason. I mean, at the end of the day, you hurt the business owner. If it's a small business, you're hurting them by trying to get over on the system. And I say, whatever you do, win it by merit and not by, just playing victim, because that never works to anybody's benefit. You know what I mean? From that perspective. But I had to deal with some.
We live in a time now
stuff
where it's in America, people just go. It's insane. You can't just do that in Europe. In Europe, it's a lot different. You can't just sue somebody. It's here you can kind of open civil.
It's like culture almost part of the culture.
And with what's going on now with this crazy, with all these economical drivers that we see and we're that are happening right now, we're living in a world where we're more prone to, how you say, a lot of these, I would say non-valid actions that people can take, for that, they're doing because they can't figure it out themselves, a lot of things I say, charge it to the game, it's blame it on yourself and figure out what how to grow from it. Don't try and bring your pain on someone else. Like, it's not cool. And it happens a lot here. Hopefully that they'll be regulating those kinds of things a little bit more, so that there's a lot more merit when things like this happen. But if you put a lawyer in a room with another lawyer, I mean, they're going to want you to keep going, you know.
100%, and then play golf
They
afterwards.
play, yeah, exactly. And it's these types of things, but
Yeah.
you know, ultimately, you know, you overcome these triumphs, or you know, you end up having to pivot. Where let's say, you know, I had cyber harassment, where a guy was messaging me that like a lot, like heinous things, right? Like, yo, you just learn to pivot. You know, you have to learn block. You know, okay, well, comes to the territory. If you're going to be popular, and you know, and that's kind of like your MO. I mean, you don't really have control of it. What you have control over is like, you know, how easy you are to access.
Yeah.
So changing certain things, you know, growing with you know, what you have around you, and then just being more safe, you know, be more aware when you're dealing with people, making sure that your contracts are strong, that you're protected, you have your, you know, as an artist, you protect your, you know, IP, your art, your designs, things like that.
For those who don't know, IP, intellectual property,
yes. You know,
right.
And like, you know, I'll see artists suing brands when this, like, you know, there was a big car company. They did a campaign,
Mm-hmm.
right? A public campaign, and they had a mural in the back, and it was like the artist's work. Like, dude, like, because of these brands, so the artist sued this big car brand, you know, and created a whole ordeal. It was in the newspaper and stuff. Like, I hear you, you know, and all that, but making it public makes brands scared to work with artists.
Right.
Like, you're not helping the economy of creatives by, you know, making brands scared that they're going to get sued by an artist because they used your art in some campaign. I think, like, my art was featured on, kind of funny, it was like Jewish matchmaking on Netflix. It was like the cover art. I was like flipping on Netflix. I'm like, I don't really watch TV that much, but like sometimes I watch Netflix.
Right.
And I'm flipping. I'm like,
and you see your
holy
art.
shit, it's my mural. You know, I'm like, I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to sue, you know, the producers of this show because my art is on some TV show, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But listen, I respect certain people for their decisions, but I think from an economical standpoint and from a financial standpoint, as a creative, you want people to be, you know, exposing your work. That's what art is for everyone. It's, you know,
especially nowadays with the reach that it has in social media and everything. No.
Yeah, I mean, you have platforms that, you know, it's a whole new world. It's not like it used to be. You could be alive nowadays and be a popular artist, you know?
Yeah.
Things that over the last century kind of started happening. I mean, obviously a lot of these guys that, you know, the classics and stuff like that, they were geniuses and, you know, in their own right. But, you know, it's not like Van Gogh, who was locked up in an insane asylum, you know, and where he was producing a lot of these works. He produced like Starry Night while he was in, like, put away.
Is that what it was? I didn't know that.
Yes, that was one of his most famous paintings.
Yeah, I mean, I know Starry Night, but I didn't know he did that in an asylum.
Yeah, he was away. He was locked away from society. Well, but it was voluntary. He did it to himself. He alienated himself from society and began painting like this. And it was actually inspired by his surrounding, like what he was seeing every day. It was like there were beautiful flowers and things like that. And that's what shaped his, you know, his art and what it actually looked like.
Yeah.
His best pieces.
Very, very interesting, man. Let me ask you, art as an asset class, right? You know, people say, oh, you know, invest in gold, invest in crypto. But art, for a lot of people who don't even know, art, it's its own asset class, right?
Yeah.
On the business side of that, I mean, are you somebody who's very knowledgeable when it comes down to like art, as far as like being able to invest for the future, leaving stuff behind? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean,
on that,
with art and creatives, it can go any which way. Things can change very quickly, but there's telltale signs.
Yeah.
Those types of signs that you can, and variables that you can, you know, in order to understand whether an artist makes sense to purchase or collect their artwork, and that's, community involvement and, how consistent they are over the years. Like when I'm working with talent, I don't just go right away and work with this artist. I wait, and they're wondering why I'm waiting. And I go, why I wait? Because I want to make sure that they're still going to be an artist in 2 years. You get me? Because if I put my name on it with an artist, let's say, and then all of a sudden they don't want to be an artist anymore, and I've sold, artwork. I can't do that because I have a relationship-driven business. So like, if I'm putting a piece of art in your home, from a street artist or whatever that I like, he has to be an artist like now, or he won't be in your home. And 9 out of 10 stick. A lot of these emerging guys, it's a tough business. It's not easy. They don't continue, and it's not like music where the album can just live, and maybe it gets famous, maybe it doesn't. The art has to be it's physical, has to be picked up, has to be shown. There has to be a narrative. It's like there's a lot of variables to that, but really, it's hard to say. You should always choose art because you like it, like the way it makes you feel, and that's it. Great art evokes emotion in you or others. If it makes you feel something, then that's good art. And that's it. And I don't I never really was, when I got into it, I was never really like, this is going to be the best investment ever. I was just like, I like this. I like this art. Oh, it makes me happy. I would love rearranging my house or with different things and change. And I realized how powerful it was because if I would change the art around during a different season, I would feel different. I would feel like it was fresh, things were different, it was new. And I like that. But I never did it for that reason. And then art started, not art, but street art, which was our primary focus, ended up starting to become more popular. It started to get expanding. We have artists like Tiago Magro, one of my good friends. He's a Brazilian artist, or like Heliobre, who's a graffiti artist from Lisbon. And their art became, it's like, dude, they're not even doing illegal. They don't even have to do illegal artwork anymore. It's not like they're vandalizing a blank wall. They're getting paid to do a wall. So it's it's completely, it's gravy. They can do it. They have opportunities that are presenting themselves to these artists. And then people are starting to realize that at a certain point, these guys can only paint so many pieces. It's going to be, why not have a copy of it, or which is multiples. There's prints and multiples, and then there's originals.
Yeah.
So like a serigraph, lithograph, risograph, screen print. Those are types of multiples. So there's many of them. They create a market because there's a certain amount of those pieces. So if 1 or 5 of them sold at a certain price point, kind of what the market value is of that design, right? Of those prints and multiples. But then you have originals. The originals, that's what was touched by the artist, hand painted by the artist, and those can come in many forms. It could be in sculpture form, on paper, on a canvas. Sometimes they'll hand touch it on top of the print.
Just to add a little original flair, but not fully, so to speak.
Yeah, so they'll line up 25 pieces or 50 pieces, and then they hand embellish them. So each of them are a little bit different from each other. Or each are a little bit spray painted from each other. And but
that would be called what? That's an original piece, or is it
hand embellished?
Hand embellished. That's
or hand finished.
Hand finished. That's second tier.
Like an HF. Yeah, that would be the second tier.
So you got original, hand finished.
Yes, and
then after that,
and multiples.
Right. So then, when you say lithograph,
serigraph, risograph, screen prints, things like that, those would be considered prints and multiples.
Right. But so which one is? Where's the better value? What's more?
It's preference, and so each technique requires a little bit more precision.
Yeah.
And it's not that simple to do. Certain techniques require like a screen print requires a screen, and then you have to depending on how many like layers it is. Let's say it's a 3-color screen print. That means there's 3 screens in 3 colors to make the design, right?
Yeah.
So you do one, you have squeegee, right? And you do another one, okay? You do another one, cool. And then it creates an image. But if you have a 12-color screen print, that obviously requires a lot of precision. You can't really mess up in order to do it. And then a risograph really comes out of a printer. It's just a certain type of paper. There's a certain like feel to a risograph, and the colors, when you look at it up close, you can tell. And then you could
but from far away, it kind of looks like the original. So to speak.
Well, they're never going to have the same texture. An original paint has to dry. It's paint on paint on paint on paint. Yeah. That's what makes like an oil painting so cool, is that oil's very thick.
Yeah.
So there's a depth to it. But when you look at, something that's painted with like watercolor, it's not going to have the same depth as an oil painting. Or if it's painted with acrylic, it's not the same either. That's why like some artists nowadays, if you look on social media, they're mixing mediums. They're making it like almost kind of like conceptual art. You have artists that'll have like two pieces, kind of like Banksy style, and it's like they're tied by a rope, and it's like a girl and like a boy like pulling each other.
Right.
So it's like people are starting, or it's a fabricated kind of like a shape, and then the shape is painted, but it's in the form of a canvas, but it has like holes in it. And then they paint in the inside. People are getting more creative in the way that they pursue the art, But ultimately, classic's classic. You can never go wrong with classic.
Yeah, I agree.
And the best materials are for like a sculpture. You're looking at bronze. Bronze is bronze. It's bronze. It's for life. But like this kind of looks like bronze. But yeah, I mean, I
got this as a gift, actually. One of my real good friends, and he moves all my artwork. He's like, bro, man, I just ran into this and I thought of you. And he was like, this is for you, and it's super heavy, bro. Like it's.
See, that's a cool component though. Like with art,
yeah,
the gift aspect.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys would give art away. Like I don't go around asking, trying to sell my art. Like if somebody approaches me and is like, I really want an original for my house, can you help me? Like if it's not like my work, obviously I could figure out something cool with some of the guys I work with. But I love having like a bunch of art. Typically I usually have it on me and it's signed, stamped and stuff like that. And I just give it out. Like one of the places I go to where we use UPS a lot. We use FedEx too, but we use UPS a lot. Like I have a relationship with the guys at UPS. Like they love me when I come in. It's just like, it's refreshing. They have a good time with me. We're in and out, whatever. They help me out a lot. I just like their system. And they have my art hanging at like various locations here in Florida. It's just kind of cool. So if I walk in there, see my art.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's dope, Like they know every time I go there, almost every time, like all the staff get like something.
That's pretty dope. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So like they know me as that kind of guy, and I think it's the spirit of giving and sharing, and then when somebody wants to make a big purchase or something like that, like, yeah, sure. Obviously sell them the original, but share the prints, like do stuff that makes sense. Like even if it's small, who cares? Just give it away.
Yeah.
And I think that's more powerful.
What type of advice you have since you've been dealing with artists? I mean, I deal with artists on my own end, tattoo artists. And one of the things that I say, for example, I'm like, come to Empire Inc., and don't starve. Be an artist. We have built the business model to where people come in looking for the brand and they give these artists an opportunity to make money. How do you promote, kind of like the starving artist mantra that used to be?
Yeah.
Is there something that you kind of have towards battling that to let artists know, hey, you could have a career in art if you do this and that, or anything like that? Or
okay, so that's a good question. There isn't really a right or wrong way. I mean, the key is to have your path be defined by what it is you're doing and how you're working with this, the mediums that you're currently working with, but at the same time, mediums as in different styles or different, different collections, It takes time. I always warn an artist, and I let them know, I go, this is not a quick thing. If you think that being a painter is quick and you'll make money fast, it's impossible. It's a long-term game. You have to be in it for a while. And it's a very old sport. You're competing with people that have been doing this for a very long time, but you'll meet some of the most amazing people ever. People that collect art and appreciate art are cool. Like, they like cool shit. They like cool sneakers. They probably have a cool crib. They have a cool wifey, or the wifey that got a cool husband. Like, it's one of the last luxuries that you collect. Someone might have a nice car, or a collectible car, or a nice watch, or whatever. But when you have nice art and special art, you can tell, that these people know what they're doing. They have they're just different. And these types of people, the people you meet in art, it'll open up a lot of opportunities for you. Like I'm working with a doctor right now on my partner's, one of my projects. I'm doing a creative technological project, which I can't get into too many details yet, because we're working on the black and white right now. But we met through art, where I was a fan of what he was doing. He was a fan of what I was doing. Got closer over the past few years. We're just we're talking on the phone all the time. Let's figure out a way to do something cool for the world, right? And then I asked him one day, I'm like, what's the biggest problem what's the biggest problem that you face every day in your work? And he's an ER doctor. And then that's how we came up with a certain concept that we're working on. But these are people, this example is important because this door opened as a creative because of my connection in art, not for any other reason. We were just maintained a really good relationship, loved art. I loved, the way James Franco makes the best, James Franco, the actor, and This Is the End. He's talking about all the different way, the way he explores art, and that everyone's an artist. And he says it in a kind of a funny way. And these people they really are. And I agree with him, even though I think he's kind of mocking it. It's these guys, they're going in, there's an art form to their process, when they're conducting a surgery and these types of things, there's an art form. It's not just, that's why I use the word creatives, I don't try to, I feel like art is confined to just art. Nowadays, I feel like creatives really represents, what we're facing right now.
And visionaries too are in that bunch, because it's architects, visionaries, people creating, architecturing the new structure of the world,
Absolutely.
There's a big art aspect. I have a project. I spoke to you about it. I definitely want to speak it to existence right here. And I don't want to get, just like you, I don't want to get too deep into it. Yeah. But Joey Magazine, the commissioner of Miami Beach, a great friend of mine, he's involved with the project, but I want to get you on the art side of it. There's a really cool project that I've been working on for a couple of years, and I want you to, help me with the creative side, because I think it's very Miami. This is a dedication to the city of Miami. It's going to be a huge deal. I definitely want to put this on a, I want to make a series about this, but we're down with this. We're going to lock this down. The mural, beautiful.
I mean, with you in general, I know any idea that you have, and if you're going to express it to me, I know it's well thought out. I don't have to think twice when I know that.
Thank you, brother.
With you, it's going to make sense. We've done a lot in the past. So I think it'd be really cool to honor the city with something. And we'll do a great job. And I already have ideas,
I just brought it up today. So I already know. Yeah, no, I know you're the man for the job, Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're honoring the city and it's something like that. And we could do something that's very unique and honors the historic value of what Miami is and what Miami is going to be.
I'm looking forward to it. I have my whole life invested here. This is my hub. This is where I kind of have. So I want to make sure that everything that we're building is for the better future generations, and you know, it has to do with legacy and name and morals and all that stuff. So it's really important that that piece gets done really well.
Yeah.
So I'm trusting you with that.
All right.
You had the FBI.
Are you sure?
I already spoke it, man. It's already gone.
All right,
Hey, 100%, bro. We're gonna figure out. We're gonna get
Yeah.
we're gonna figure out the solution to it, and I know you will.
We got you.
So you had some interesting shit happen.
Yes.
FBI came.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? What happened with
So, well, there were two instances, but like, long story short, first one was basically, you know what swatting is? Ever heard of that? Swatting.
swatting?
It's when
Like the SWAT team comes
it's
at you?
It's like when someone calls like when someone calls like the police and says like, oh, like, you know, I heard gunshots, or like someone's kidnapped, or like some weird stuff like that.
Right.
And they basically, it's a false alarm.
It's a false. Okay.
Yeah. So like, it happened to me where basically I had like, I don't know how many, it was like at least 12 to 15 officers, you know, come into my one of my, like, my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't just go to mine though, they went to like a few others, but complete false alarm. You know, the building obviously sent an apology and a clarifying statement,
Right.
which I'll send it to you so you could see it. Basically, they had someone claim that there were gunshots, and then, you know, the police have to investigate this stuff because it's like, you know,
Yeah, you never know.
you know.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like, you know, honestly, big shout out to like the bureau, because they helped a lot, like in capture. I was dealing with some crazy person basically that was, you know, just not all there. And I can't,
Yeah.
and this person was harassing, harassing me. And I had even teammates seeing some of the emails and stuff like, yo, you might want to see this, you know, type shit. And like, it scared a lot of us because it was like, not just harassment, but just, how you say, like, heinous verbiage, you know.
Was it threats
like,
and stuff?
Something real wrong with this guy.
Right.
And, you know, they came through, and I was basically tied in by, you know, someone else was dealing with this on a different level. I happened to know somebody within that family, and you know, I ended up I was a victim of a crime. You know, it wasn't anything more than that. But yeah, I was dealing with this for a long time, and they ended up apprehending the guy, and which was epic. I'll never forget when they called me to tell me that they caught him, which was amazing, because I was like, okay, well, I'm getting these crazy ass messages, you know, and I'm just like wondering, I'm like, where is this guy? Like, I need to know where he is. They're like, oh, don't worry. He's, you know, they know their shit. They're like, don't worry. He's not in Florida. He's in Colorado. We'll let you know if he's in Florida. I'm like, all right. But I was like, this is intense. You know, this is serious shit. It's like a movie. I'm like, this can't be real. I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know if the guy's gonna walk through your door and fucking.
Bro, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's
especially when you're living in like a place where you're easy to reach. You know, I ended up moving and all that, and you know, but look, they really worked very hard into finding this person, making sure that he saw justice was served, and it just got solved. Like it just ended. So I'm like, remember we were talking, and we were planning this podcast, and I remember I told you I'm waiting for this to be over, just because I didn't want to think about it, and it's something that was weighing on me for a long time. And now it's, you know, I spoke with, you know, the assistant of the state attorney last week, and they had told me that, you know, justice is on its way. And, you know, what's cool about it is that honestly, it made me a stronger person. I learned a lot, and I dealt with a lot of shit, because it was not just a year of capturing the guy, but the 2 years before that of nonsense, where I was dealing with like cyber criminal behavior for a long time. But the ability of the government, and like how cool it is to live in a country where, listen, like they're gonna protect their citizens, and listen, they're gonna do what's right. Like if you're somebody that's gonna be stupid and you're gonna be, you know, hurting people, or, showing intention, things like that, bro, you're going to get in trouble. And rightfully so, they protected me. And yeah, I mean, I was definitely confused. I'm not going to lie. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what happened now? I'm like, I got to do what? I'm like, talk to who? I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was just like, it's a lot. It's and word gets around and things like that. And then, it turns into, he said, she said type shit. But like, listen, at the end of the day, they did what was the right thing to do. They caught somebody that was not just a threat to me, but, what I believe was a national threat. They can't go into so many details with me on certain things, but this person could have hurt a lot of people. These are the types of people that do, bad, like large scale things. And they stopped somebody from committing some serious, crimes. And now this person is, going to have to deal with consequences, and hopefully, over this time can change, and, the system hopefully can help them snap out of whatever it is. But luckily we live in a country where, although yes, we may not agree with everything that happens within our government, we do have certain sectors and bureaus that are here to protect people like you and me. So like, don't fuck with us.
Don't
Come
fuck
at
with
me. You're gonna get the freaking get some Secret Service on me.
Come after the art plug, you're plugged.
Yeah, right, you're plugged.
Yeah. So what is for the community out there listening to this, and just to get a perspective from you, what does success mean to you?
Oof, everybody's different on that one. I mean, to me, I think success is the ability to pursue what you want to do freely. I think that if you can, and if you can make money from that, that's great and everything. But if you have freedom is the ultimate thing that you want to buy, is freedom. If you can do what you want to do creatively, whether it's in business or in art, or if it's in, many industries, but in a way where you're being pulled, you're not being pushed into it, where it feels like something that you want to do, then you have a gift. You should be thankful and grateful that you're at where you're at, and then, I mean, that's what I think success is. I think success is also, that, empire is the way mentality, where, understanding the empire within, and, understanding who you are and what you can be, and learning how you can become a better, improve every day, step by step.
Yeah.
And, that is success. So whether it's in your, in business, creatively, or in health, that's what success is: being healthy and having freedom. That's ultimate right there.
What is next for the art plug? Like, what are the...
One more thing though.
Talk to me.
Sharing it and being able to share it.
Yes.
Being able to share your ability, being able to share your experiences, being able to impact other people and other individuals in a way that helps shape the world for make it a little bit brighter. Why do you think I make Giphy stickers? Like, it's not like I make those because I think it's cool if 300 million people see one of my stickers and the sticker says nice, if 0.1% of those people, or 0.01% of those people react to that, if I change that many people from that one sticker, I mean, that's a big change. It's a wave.
Yeah, and we glanced over it. You've gotten billions and billions of views on...
Half the world has seen my work.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
I'm actually one of the biggest, even though I'm like technically Jewish, I'm one of the biggest Christian art makers in the world. Yeah. If you search Jesus Christ on Giphy or on any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, like you could see like the Bible. I made that. It's the Bible in my font.
But what made you do that though? Like,
because I thought it was funny. Because I'm like, how funny would it be if I was the guy that made all the Christian art? Because like I'm Jewish, So I made like Hindu Jesus. I made a little like a just different complexions of baby
Jesus,
Jesus.
yeah.
And I made like a baby Jesus that went viral.
That's
Then
crazy.
I have a Jesus in different colors with the halo.
We gotta teach us how to do an Empire one.
And dude, it was all because I thought it was a cool way to, I don't know, contribute and impact the world by not being the guy just posting on social media. People are using this stuff daily on the back end, and being a back end producer of that is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. There's a lot of impact.
We get like 50. Well, I get like 50 million views a week.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no. I get 50 to 60 million a month. Sorry,
Wow.
Right now I'm getting around 12 to 13 a week.
Million.
12 to 13 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's gonna go up. I'm gonna get it to like, my goal is to get it up. One of my goals is I need to get it up to like 25 million. That way I could do 100 million a month. Because if I get up to 100 million a month, then that's 1.2 billion views, and then I go viral on certain, like if it's Easter, my baby Jesus goes crazy. Everyone loves baby Jesus. Baby Jesus is number one in the world.
Yeah.
And if it's like certain holidays and things like that, like Christmas does really well. Also, obviously New Year's, I do like a Happy New Year one. New Year, new me. New Year, new me. New me. And like those do really well, and you know when the season's hitting. But yeah, Easter hit.
Did you do a menorah one yet or no?
Yeah, I've actually done a lot of pro, I do pro everyone. I don't really like to isolate it to be too into, even though I went to
pro something doesn't mean mine is something else, right?
Yeah, like I do some for every kind of person, even for the aliens. I love making like little UFOs, like abducting like a UFO comes, abducts somebody, and then goes away. I think it's kind of cool.
You believe in aliens?
I think so.
Yeah,
gotta be, man.
How could they not be? Right? Is really the.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, more articles and more meat. Like, okay, the fact that the media is slowly introducing.
They're drip feeding us the information.
Man. Information. Yeah. That means something big is going to happen. Like something has to happen in the next, 15 years or something, where it's like, all right, bam. This whole,
Yeah, because you got Air Force people now coming out. The guy who testified in front of Congress.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would call him a whistleblower because he was okayed by the 3-letter organizations to fucking speak about it. So it's just there is slowly a lot of this stuff is coming out. I'm like, and I think about it because if you think about just numbers wise, like if you just do the numbers, you look at all these like stars with planets around them, billions and trillions out there. Like, how could there not be other life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting that you think.
Wait, you think so? You think so?
I absolutely think so, man.
Yeah,
how could there
right?
not? And you know what's crazy for me?
You think they're here already? They're like hanging out.
Yeah, and so I've dove into
like at the club and shit. You're like hitting on some chick.
Vampires?
She's an alien.
I don't know, man. I've done so much. At some level, you keep doing all that research. It's kind of like
you're
porn.
Get crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna because everything becomes possible, and it's like everything. But by deductive reasoning tells me, okay, first of all, it tells me if I just because you believe in alien does not mean you do not believe in God. For me, that was an important one, right? Yeah. It's just almost like a lineage, right? So I'm like, hey, maybe these motherfuckers are way more advanced than us for sure.
Yeah.
And perhaps we come from them and they come from God. Mm-hmm. So there's the lineage is there at some level. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, how could there not be other life in the universe? And then why are all the countries have a treaty that you can't go in Antarctica? It's a peace place. Nobody can own it. What the fuck is going on there, bro? There's something under that continent.
A lot of variables.
What
the hell?
I see the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Egyptian, hey, my Egyptian friends.
Apparently it was the Israelites that assembled it. The slaves built the pyramids.
I actually think that the Egyptians, when they got there, they were already there. They inherited them. That was part of the landscape.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Okay.
I think they're much older. We're not talking about 10, 12,000 years. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of years. I think they've been there. There's no hieroglyphs in there. In the Pyramid of Giza. And all the kings were doing everything with hieroglyphs to show that was them, because that was a thing for them. I think that was just a big energy.
And they kind of went there and kind of built around it.
Yeah. Just like how some of the Roman and Greek temples, they have prefabricated structures underneath the temples that they built.
Yeah.
And they were like, this was here prior.
Yeah.
A lot of those stories come out. So it's mysteries, man. I think
I hope they abduct me. I want to get abducted so bad. I'm like, I really want to meet you guys. But like, I feel like you're chosen, and it's going to be like, like these guys that make all these movies. I know it sounds kind of, might sound a little weird, but bro, there's no way everyone's kind of like off their rocker. Like there's got to be some grain of truth, some of this.
Right.
But what's going to be important when and if we do make contact.
You're so excited.
is the fact that we're gonna have to embrace them, and like I don't think that this world is ready for the actual appearance of these guys.
You don't think people are ready to accept that fact?
Society's not there yet.
Why is that?
We're too consumed by war and fighting, and we're gonna be scared to a point where who knows what can happen. I don't think we're pure enough yet. I think that down the line, when things kind of settle down, that's when it would happen. When we won't just like, I mean, dude, there's a freaking Space Force. I mean, Trump established there's a division.
Force, yeah.
I applied to it, but I didn't get
it. What were you trying to? You just want to get the fuck out.
I was like, yo, let's figure this shit out. I want to fucking, like I don't know. But they look at everything, and like when you're already like you've done.
But you know what though? I actually have to say I don't believe that, because I think. I think that no matter what, there's always war, even outside, and we just want to say, oh, there's never going to be war. But every day, the war you have against yourself, it's the same war that's applied outside. It's just that people they're applying it outward rather than inward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that a black hole eating planets is war, brother.
Yeah.
It eats stars,
yeah,
and then gives birth to other stars.
Yeah, that's crazy shit.
You know what I'm saying? Our cells in our body, they're going to war every day. They're killing each other to rebirth, compete, and we got to get rid of the bad guys. This is gonna kill you. Our whole homeostasis is war. I think
that's a good point.
And I think that if you embrace that, that's where you find peace.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you look for peace without war, that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, there's going to be constant battles, but I just think the world's in a weird place. Like it's just. But I mean, why else are they introducing all this shit? Like, are they just like? I was looking at the news today on my Apple News. I subscribe, and I subscribe to a few, like the Washington Post and the New York Times. I like to read. And stay current, and understand the perspectives that the media pushes out. I think it's important to know and analyze, and it's good. It's good in general.
Yeah, because even if you don't agree with it, at least you could understand that point.
Yeah, and I like that. It's like when I watch, if I'm watching the news and I'm not going to just watch Fox. I'm going to watch CNN and I'm going to watch Fox, and I'm going to understand. I'm going to be like, okay,
very, very intelligent.
All right, now I know who's, I can see the way certain things, I understand the way the world works a little differently because I look at so many different outlets. But the fact that they're introducing this so, slowly, and it's starting to get more detailed, and there's more sightings, and it's not just, here, it's all over the world. There's
100%.
It's very interesting and intriguing. I mean, it's kind of exciting, to be honest. I think it's super cool. I mean, imagine the technology that these people, that these things have, like, who knows? Like they could probably cure a lot of problems and help a lot of people. But, again, I'm a art person. I'm the art plug. I don't really know. I'm just telling you like where my heart says, heart feels. But it's going to be exciting to see. And like, I hope they come, and like, I hope I get to meet them, or see them at least while I'm alive, or whatever, experience something.
When you were talking about watching the news on both sides, it's funny. I was thinking about a quote that I heard from Denzel, and it says, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed.
Yeah.
And if you watch the news, you're misinformed.
Yes.
So it's like them if you do, them if you don't, but at least
it might not be
perspectives.
the forms that people think. It might be, some sort. It's a source of. It might be an energy source. It's just something that is not on this planet. That's that I don't know. It's hard to define, but it might not be like typical, like in the movie, of a character just comes out like, oh look, I'm a freaking alien. It's just not. We'll see. I guess we'll. Maybe our kids will know.
The crazy thing is that every civilization that has met with a less technologically advanced civilization it kind of always ends in subjugation in some type of way, which is why I see what there would be a hesitation of like, what the fuck, what are we gonna do? Not be ready as best as we can, possibly, because God forbid that's our future. If I think about in these situations, I think about my daughter.
Yes.
And I'm like, fuck. Okay. If I didn't have a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, the aliens. But there's another barrier to it, so I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's kind of out of your hands.
Yeah. So I was like,
that's scary.
It is probably best that we're ready as best as possible, but who knows, man.
There's a guy that writes about this stuff, and he's a doctor, and he does a bunch of research. His name is Dr. Greer.
Oh yeah.
GR.
I saw him.
Or Green.
Yeah.
I think it's Greer.
Stephen Greer.
Stephen Greer. Yes.
Stephen Greer.
Or CE5.
Yes.
And he talks about energy and the way and human connection with these
and he's been doing it for forever.
And he made a statement where he's like, he makes a statement, and I was like watching this documentary. Obviously, like, it's a documentary, it's a production, it's entertainment, but respectfully so, he makes a statement where it's like, you can't fake. Like, I'm looking at the face, and I'm like studying his face, and I rewind it when he's saying this, and I watch it like 3-4 times. I'm like, is this guy acting? He really believes that, he may not be around for too much longer, or if he could get killed because of his statements and his beliefs and research that he's conducted in light of these, discovering whether this is, what the realities are behind all of this. And watching that, I was like, whoa, this guy is he's a big doctor dude. He's like, takes care of himself. He's been around. He's wise. He really believes this. And but ultimately, listen, good energy attracts good energy. And, I don't think it's something to worry about. I think that we're in good hands. But I feel comfortable with where things are going to end up going. That's all we can do, I think, is have good hopes and high hopes and inspire each other to feel good about what's next. Fear won't be a good angle for any of us. I think that's where we're going to act crazy and not rational, so
I understand. Definitely. I do agree with that. Fear is never.
I met a girl like recently. I thought she was an alien forever, bro. And I made her after I'm like, you're not an alien, are you? I'm like, you're an alien. I'm like, she's like,
You try to take off her mask.
It's funny. It was just people are interested. Like, I watch Men in Black, and I'm just like, okay, like, what's under that skin? Nah, but I'm just teasing. That's not that wasn't that didn't really happen, but it could. But yeah, I don't know. We'll find out in this lifetime.
I if it's meant to be, it is what it is, and hopefully we're prepared, and it's the best of situations.
Well, it might not be this lifetime. It might be like next. I don't know. We'll figure it out, huh? So, what do you think is going to happen with the election, with, let's say, with the U.S.
Right now?
Kamala or Trump's going to win?
For me, I definitely want Trump to win. I'll tell you that right now.
What do you like about him?
What do I like about him? I like the fact that he's not. So what I see when I see Trump, I see a person who's not. Everybody has a reason they have their own agenda. So let's pull the agendas to the side. What are the agendas, right? For example, Trump is I'm from New York, right? And I know how strong you have to be to deal with the building department to build buildings and create New York. contractors, general contractors, builders, engineers, architects, and then people in the government building shit, creating that infrastructure. You have to fucking have you have to have a set, you know what I'm saying? And you got to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that. He did The Apprentice. He's not bored. He's brash, but he's original, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, you would be able to bring your enemy to your house and give them food and still disagree, because there was a level of respect of what they earned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I don't see him as the perfect candidate, but I see him as the candidate for the moment.
Yes.
In order to maintain this craziness from going so lopsided to the point where we're no longer going to have rationale, is what I'm scared of. You know what I'm saying? In a way, you know. The other thing is a businessman, when it comes down to like government agencies and the way they operate, the way they're fumbling money all over the place, CIA going rogue, FBI, what they did to the Kennedys and all that shit. Because you kind of like start looking at all this shit, and it's like there's something so internally wrong with this system that there needs to be a Scud missile to come in and fucking
disrupt it and realign everything.
Yeah, you know, and from my perspective, I see that kind of happening. And that's one of the things that I'm really hoping for, man.
I think there's attributes I like of both candidates. I think that, you know, and like the last debate, you know, I knew, you know, I'd called my mom and I was talking to her and I'm like, Kamala is going to play very different than last time. She's going to be very, very, not play. This is the first time I think that they actually had a debate.
Yeah.
She's going to
but she's spoken out in public many times. Yeah.
But while Trump is going to go on, she's going to play it cool. And it was just an obvious strategy.
Yeah.
And she ended up kind of like winning the hearts of like a lot of people. I think that, you know, Trump is rigorous in his pursuit of excellence and he's a good businessman and things like that. But at the same time, he's filed bankruptcy like 6 times. But then you have Kamala it's going to be,
I will say on the bankruptcy side, and that's not a defense just with Trump, but with anybody, bankruptcy, people think about bankruptcy as a negative thing. It's a tool.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
It's in the Constitution. It's something that it's a right. To start fresh as a citizen of this country.
Right.
You have the ability to do so.
So I wouldn't use that almost as, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying it's negative. I'm just stating that it's something that's happened in the past. He's had good ventures, but he knows how to lose and he knows how to restart. And that's something that I think could be an effective and great thing for a future president. Somebody that's been through it.
I also forgot to mention how
I mean, in a good way.
Yeah.
You know,
I forgot to mention also to give him credit is that he has diplomatic relationships.
Yes, that's
with
true too.
The world leaders.
Yeah.
And no matter how you break and cut that cake and that cookie, that's so important for world peace, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That right there, having the respect of. Because if you have other people running countries who are dictators don't respect weakness.
No.
They have to respect you because they fear you at some level. And being the fact that we are in control of the world's most powerful army, we need to be able to say, okay, I love the fact that we could say peace through strength. But you need to have the strength. Otherwise, you don't have the peace.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that I'm like, you know what? I respect that because that's a deterrent. And that's probably the strongest deterrent.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that with all due respect to both parties, I think that, it's interesting that we got to this point to have these two candidates. But like, listen, I'm just hoping for the best, you know, and I think that the only thing that I can say that I dislike about is the fact that the bashing of each other, the mockery of each other, and that kind of shit. That's not cool. It's like, bro, we're fighting. We want the U.S. to be, you know, great. Let's say great again or whatever. We're looking for the best outcome for us as people and as a large community. Let's say, right?
Yeah.
Bashing who each other and insulting each other, and this nonsense with the media manipulation, that is like, even though you're entitled to do whatever the hell you want, kind of, but like at the same time, it's disrespectful. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the one thing that bothers me about the overall thing is like, it's divided a lot of us. And like I should, like, if someone tells me like, yo, I like this person, like I respect why they like that candidate. Like I get it, I understand, but listen, like, I think Kamala is going to ultimately, I think she's going to win for some reason, even though I personally, I like Trump better if I had to pick between the two, because I want someone that's more like business savvy.
Yeah.
I just think that's, but
why do you think she's going to win?
I think she's going to win because she's just,
you think because of the people, or you think because it's kind of rigged to be that way?
I don't think it's it's hard to say with that.
I
don't know if it's necessarily rigged.
I mean, they try to take the guy out twice, right?
Yeah, I know.
So it's. I mean, you
but
can't.
They're not doing. But if it was rigged, he would have been. If it was, he would have been kind of like maybe already, out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's really hard to say. There's definitely powers that can be behind these people and certain things, but I think that Kamala is just more of it's a safer bet for, for this, for what we're going through right now. She's less rogue. This guy, I mean, Trump's great at it, but you never know. Like he can kind of, say one thing.
But he was already a president for 4 years and nothing happened. So at the end of the day,
you
know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's gonna sound crazy, but I don't believe, personally, I don't think that women are meant to have that kind of power.
Some people don't.
I personally don't think that, because it's not. So what? For example, Kamala, she never had kids, so she doesn't understand certain responsibilities. And there's something to be said about how many. Let me ask you a question: how many friends do you have that have had kids? Your family members, you're an uncle.
Yeah.
How were they prior and how are they now?
It's a really good point. And
you know what I mean?
They're improved and they're very, very, it's just, they're they're better people, to be honest with you. After they have kids, I'm like, damn, you're a good soul. Like, to my friend,
But it's because of I
never seen the side of my friends. I'm like, it's cool.
Protect mode. And that's number one. Number two, I've seen, I think everybody has something special to bring to the table.
Yes.
But I don't think everybody brings the same to the table. And politics, however it sounds, I just don't think that, I personally don't believe that it should be a woman running the country. I personally don't believe that. I couldn't even go to a female therapist to talk about my problems, because
you don't or do?
Would not.
Really?
Would not. Absolutely not.
That's interesting.
Because I do use a lot of deductive reasoning.
Yes.
And I would almost say I come from I have a lot of experience in different things.
Yes.
I've never had a good experience where a woman is leading something that turns out to be proper, because I think the competitive makeup of the neurological system is way different. So that by default, everything that has to do with rationale and how to get things done is so different than it is to nurture the future generation. So it's built so different that I don't see the same system. You see what I'm saying?
That's a very I think that's a valid point, and I think that you could look at like the animal kingdom and things like that.
Yes,
look at the roles of human nature. I mean, wilderness and animals.
Yeah.
It's there are certain roles that each the female and the male play, and it's it's hard for me to like put a pin on
I
it,
get
but like
it.
you get what I mean.
Yeah. I totally
I
understand.
can see what you're saying. I go to a female therapist, which is hilarious. Like that's so funny you said that. My therapist is a female. But yeah, and I can totally get what you're saying now, where there's certain things that they may not be able to it's to relate with because I'm a guy and like.
But you know what's crazy? Even for example, like I have these thoughts, and I've sat down with a lot of this stuff for a while, and I'm like, am I crazy? But at the same time, I just keep reverting back to it because there's some type of framework that I'm like, no, this is the framework, right? It's like, for example, would you go and get advice if you're okay? You know what? You're like, all right, you know what? I'm about to do an installation on a structure. Let's say the one that you did, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes down to putting that structure together, are you going to go to an engineer or are you going to speak to a doctor about it? Engineer, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that you want to get advice from somebody who's done it and who understands.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't even go to, like, for example, you wouldn't even go to another guy who is not an engineer to ask him that, let alone.
Yeah.
So for me, in that perspective, is like, okay, I don't know much. I know about art, but I think you know way more. So I have you here, and I'm speaking to you, and I'm listening to you because you know more about that than me. So I couldn't step into that world like that. So now I'm asking you for your advice. But the point I'm trying to make is that I guess if a woman can never see it from your point of view, they cannot understand you.
Yeah.
And then their advice is probably going to be the advice is at some level is going to. There's no correlation there. It's just gonna.
It's a weird setup.
You see what I'm saying? I would think, oh, like, you know what? I need to go speak to a therapist. I need to go speak to an old school fucking dude who's gonna tell me to shut the fuck up when I need to and do that, and who's a hunter and who's done it, and not who's somebody who's not done shit, because then I'm not gonna respect the guy when I'm sitting in front of him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my reasoning. So I'm kind of like going off of that. Again, I might be right or wrong. Whatever,
so with therapy, to touch on that, like sometimes the whole exercise is you talking. Once you talk, you think. Let's say you think you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
And the fact once you start saying it, you end up understanding. You know, like let's say you're about to ask a question and you use a case study or an example that you're dealing with in your daily life, and then the second you start repeating it in your head and talking about it, you solve it in your head. So by the time you finish asking the question, you already know the answer to it because of the interaction with the therapist. You end up kind of almost like healing yourself, but it just takes like, I've had guy therapists, I've had girl therapists, I've had all sorts of different ones. And, even the most expensive ones, like $500 an hour type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure there's ones that are a lot more, but where it's like a pretty penny.
100%.
But
some lawyers are less than that.
Yeah. And
for sure.
I found, it took me a while to find somebody that I was like, okay, it helps me make sense for myself. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it just works.
I will also say that it's everybody has, we're all walking each other home, and there's so many different ways. So I'm just saying it from my perspective. But I'm also not saying don't get therapy.
But this is the beauty of what makes us special is that we're the ones that are unique. And so it's cool that we're going to have different opinions. We're going to have different feelings. We're going to have different emotions.
There's no problem.
And the ability to respect each other and how each person handles those things is what makes our species cool.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what I think is important to understand about what we're discussing is that even though, like, bro, we may have different views, but at the end of the day, like, we're homies. No matter what, we're going to be friends. And it's cool. And
not only that, but I think there's way more things that unite us than that separate us. So and that's with everybody. Who the hell are you going to sit down and have the same exact 100% views? Nobody.
Yeah.
Even with different things. Like,
and if you do, it's something weird. It's off. Like, if someone agrees with everything you say,
it's fake.
Oh, this motherfucker, some weird shit.
So aliens, we got.
Aliens,
I think we need to have
trucks,
tattoos. we need to have a whole series on conspiracies. Bro.
Oh my god, I have to touch up. Oh my god, I have to touch up,
bro. So right now, I know you're working on your shade. Well, you've been working on that for a while. Yeah.
This is one of the new ones.
Yeah. So it's an Italian design.
Yes.
Oh no, well, design in Miami, but it's
we
Italian.
collab with the Italians to design it.
Yeah.
But it's handmade in Modena, in a small town in Modena, Italy.
Yeah, Modena is
where
like
Enzo made
that's
Ferrari.
what I was gonna say, because that's the tagline that's in a lot of Ferraris.
Yeah, so
that's super dope.
Yeah, and it's cool because these people are really passionate about it, and like they've been doing eyewear since the 1950s. I met him through an artist that was Italian. He had cool shades on. And I just kept the relationship for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Now we're here to a point where now I'm like, my box is almost done. Like my packaging is like 12 steps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, thumb printed, signed, numbered, etched on the inside. Wow. It's all sustainable acetate. It's Carl Zeiss lenses, like Sony. Like they're very crisp. Like if you put them on, you can see how clear the lenses are. You can wear them at night or day. And they're handmade. Everything is made with, by the hand. The only part is we trim at the beginning with the CNC machine, but everything else it's Italian hardware. So no two pieces are ever the same.
Yeah. Made in Italy, designed in Miami. Yeah, and super dope.
I'll sketch it and then I send to my designers, my team, like Valerio, who's been super helpful, and they basically take it to the next step. And then we just go over a few things and we finalize certain concepts, right?
Is that like a version of Aviator mixed with something else?
It's more of like reading glasses, but we did a little angle here. See how it's like there's a little angle?
Yeah.
So just to give it a unique touch. It's kind of interesting. So before these were called the Scholar, I call them the Scholar because you look kind of like a reader.
Scholar, yeah.
Scholar, like you're scholastic. They were called the Aliens. That's what I initially called them. And then we obviously do like some light engineering to make it for design, to make it like easy to take on and off. So like, it has the ridges, and then it's the weight is.
No, it's super super light.
We have 7 shapes now. We're gonna get it. We're gonna have about 15. Doing a show next month, which this is the first time I talk about it. A show next month in Formigine, which is really cool. It's another town in Italy. It's close to where the factory is, and my lead of design made it happen and everything. So I'm supposed to go. It's supposed to be the 20th of October. So that's really cool. I'll be out there, and I'm going to be seeing some of my old Italian artists, friends, and things, other creatives, and representing obviously the U.S. while being out there, showing some love. And I've been working on, stuff with a doctor friend of mine. And then I have Artplug 2.0, which is basically revamped art plug. I'm making it so that you can create your profile, be spotlighted on the art plug website. You can, personalize it, be seen by collectors, connect with people that are either creatives or collectors directly. There's no real middleman. We don't take a percentage of your pieces and things like that, unless you want us to do the transaction for you. But your contact info can be displayed, and a collector or a creator or vice versa, you can connect with anybody you want through our platform. And there's going to be a free option, but it'll be subscription based, anywhere from $20 starting, $20 a month.
So it's like an online museum platform to everybody showcase their own.
Hey, first primary creators. As long as you're a creator that created, let's say you created hoodies,
you're the one creating it. Yeah.
You're the one creating it. Cool. You can build a profile. Let's say you're a collector out of, Singapore, and you want to show everybody what you collect. Cool. You can make your profile, show everybody what you collect, and then you can connect with, let's say a creative is looking for a collector that might make a good fit for his work.
Yeah, that's
you can see
cool.
What they currently collect. You'll be able to compare interests, things like that, and collect with like-minded collectors or creatives.
What's the website called?
Artplug.com. It's my current site, but we're just revamping a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and then we're going to have obviously editorial features. That's where all this comes in. And then we're going to do a randomized highlight, that's on the homepage, so that people that don't have, the same financial, resources that a bigger creator may have, they'll still get highlighted. So we want to make it fair so that you can really discover new talent. Yeah. And this is I'm really putting this together. It's not like I'm just paying someone to do it. I'm really sitting down with developers and doing this like a lot. And I want it to highlight and be a fair playing field. And then they have this other cool website that makes t-shirts and wearables that are pretty affordable. Everything's limited edition, one of 100. It's called tplug.xyz or www.tplug.xyz. It's cool. I have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I mean, but the main focus has really, just been honestly family, myself, my fitness, my mental, and this is all kind of just falling into place. I don't do anything because I have to. I do it because I want to.
Yeah.
And like you're expanding and you're growing with, now you have the media side of Empire, which is I think an amazing decision on your part. And it's cool because I've seen some of the past episodes, and you have some pretty cool guests. So I'm like honored for sure to be here.
Thank you, bro. I mean, it's a welcome platform. I mean, obviously, it as long as it has to do with Empire is the Way, which is really the philosophy of building your inner empire. And that's through fitness, through understanding business, understanding the world, and becoming the best version of yourself in some type of way, and sharing that with the world is really what it comes down to,
Yeah.
We, like I said before, we're all walking each other home, and sometimes we're wrong, but we're taking the lessons and growing, and 1% every day is really the key, But aside from that, where can people find you if they want to get in contact with you? Is it through the website?
Yeah, through the website. Emailing is typically the best. I've been kind of trying to, with social media and stuff like that, which was a good way to get in touch with us. You can still follow at the Art Plug. And, I'm going to be, in my bio, you'll have links to some of the other brands that we have. But not all of the businesses have social media accounts. But for the most part, I do have a personality online. And you could definitely follow there. I'm going to be managing it a lot more personally, so that it's not like, somebody that's not me anymore. I've had, it's tough to train people to be you, and like a lot of these artists and musicians and things like that, they don't run their own social medias anymore. And it's kind of like it took me like 2 months to realize a good friend of mine was like not running her social media. I'm like, why are you writing like ridiculous? Like, what are you're not writing like, and then she'll come in and be like, oh, sorry, Marcel. I'm like, dude, what? No wonder. I'm like, you have a bot running your shit. And it's like,
people lose. It's like they lose the love for the brand when they know it's not genuine,
But we do mentorship programs. I do donate some of my time, weekly to helping people that, might need help. We do have 2 slots open for a mentorship program. They typically are it's a few months. It's like 3-4 month program. You just basically have somebody to ask advice and things like that. And you can reach me and I've been doing it for a couple of years now. We've had some really good results, and it's just a really cool way to, to help other creatives that are trying to figure it out. So that's something that we're working on as well. And then, obviously down the line, you could obviously go to the editorial on artplug.com, and you could learn a lot of things there. You can see some of the stuff I write with the help of AI. AI does comb through it. I mean, if somebody spots a mistake on there or anything like that, or like something that could be better, like we'll throw you a gift bag. So
super dope. I mean, that's amazing. And the fact that you're dedicating your time, your resources, your energy into helping the next generation is super cool. And I respect that a lot.
Like,
why not, right? Like, how could you not?
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah, I have this one thing where I say I'm so blessed that I can't repay it in this lifetime. So I got to figure out ways to give back at all times.
And this is a way to do that. I think that doing these kinds of things, that's good.
Bro, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part of my life. And we'll continue rocking and rolling.
My man.
All right.
Good to see you. You're looking good, sharp, strong.
All day, every day.
Empire is the way,
is the way.